up in the woods, hunting, fishing. Uh-oh, we're live now. We're here in 10 seconds.
This is some pretty sweet elevator music.
Yeah, exactly. I'm going to figure out how to change that.
You can do that.
About this
see any of you guys.
Well, no, it's this countdown thing. And it's
I've never seen the
countdown.
I never seen that
there
before.
It is.
Cool.
Yeah, the countdown.
Yeah.
That's why you couldn't see us. The countdown was going on.
Yeah, okay. Hey guys, everybody. This is Cryptid Wrangler podcast Friday nights at 5. Everybody's doing okay, I imagine. So, yeah, well, let's just get straight to it. Tonight we're going to have Roger Willaims on from Squatchin, Holler. So let's bring him on. Say hi.
Hey, guys.
Yes.
Welcome, sir.
Roger?
Thank you.
Hey.
I appreciate y'all asking me to be on. I always love to talk about this stuff and learn what I can, you know, and this is one of the best ways to do it.
Definitely.
The rabbit hole, man. It's a bottomless pit.
Oh, that's a mouthful. I've learned more about true past history that you have to dig to find.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, you find out we've been lied to about almost everything.
Yeah.
And it's crazy.
Conditioned for a certain narrative.
Yep. And you know, you'd be called crazy about it, but it's like now, I think my buddy calls it the awakening, where everybody's got the ways to go find their own. You can order certain books, you know, from the past and all that. My mom just got into the Book of Enoch, the Ethiopian Bible, and she's sending me screenshots all the time. And I'm like, yeah, I tried to tell you, but I'm gonna read it after she gets done. But she studies, so she's calling me up and did you know this? I said no, but I want to dig into it. Don't ruin the movie.
Her and I need to have a chat. I've been reading that. I've been studying Enoch for about 5 years.
Yeah, look, if you've got an inquisitive mind and you're in school and they tell you something and that BS meter goes up, I'm like, how you know that? And then all of these thoughts you had of, well, this timeline could be wrong, and if the timeline is this, it would make more sense. And what if this is off? And then all of a sudden you find something like that explains it. And you're like, okay, I don't know where to go next, because what else is, you know, it's just like when I saw the first Bigfoot in 1985, that was one of my thoughts that night was, if that thing is real and they're telling me it's not, what else is real? And that's where this started. So it's wild.
This might be one of your guys here. Let's see.
Flat Rock.
You know
that's
him?
My buddy.
Yeah. He was the first one in the chat.
Yep.
Yeah.
You need to get a hold of me or Daniel, and we'll send him a gift from our sponsor for being the first in the chat.
Y'all, Flat Rock.
Why don't you shoot the sponsor for us, Larry?
He's in South Alabama, y'all, and he made his own parabolic mic. He records every night audio unless it's raining. And I did a top 10, which it's hard to pick a top 10 audios, and then, you know, we put it on the show, and he's got stuff he hasn't gone over yet, and he's had people go down there, you know, and research, and all you gotta do is go sit in the yard, you know. So dude, Flat Rock's had more stuff happen to him at his house than most people I know. You know, it's crazy, but he's my buddy.
Good. We need more of those every once in a while.
Yeah, it's
But this is a fun topic too, you know. I mean, there's not many people that know about this stuff, and yeah, we catch crap for it. But you know, it's one of those things where we all know what we're talking about, and if I've had people that said, "Hey, you know all that crap's fake, right?" And I said, "Okay, why don't you go out to Black Star Canyon with me, and we'll go see what we can find. There's nothing out there, right?" And he's like, "Nope, that's okay." I'm like, "Well,
Yeah.
let's go Tuesday." I'm busy Tuesday. All right, Wednesday. I think I got some plans. It's like there's nothing out there. What are you worried about?
My son's ex-girlfriend, we were eating barbecue late one night on a Friday night, and she thought we were nuts. And my wife, you know, she's there with us, and she's seen and heard enough now, and had so much weird stuff happen. She hasn't seen one yet, but that's about all she has done. And so there's a piece of property that's private, and we were kind of talking about it, and she was bluffing. We didn't know it. She said, "Oh, if it's so active and all that, let's go right now." And we're like, "Hey, that's a good idea." And her eyes got big. Y'all, I pulled up.
Didn't know it was that late.
Yeah, I pulled up, I told him, I said, "We're gonna sit in the truck." We didn't want to get far away from the truck. I said, "We're gonna sit in the truck." She was behind me. I rolled the windows down, turned the truck off, let all the lights go out. And within 5 minutes, this place has big boulder rocks. You know, it's a weird kind of place. I heard what sounded like a cow, which there are no cows. It was like it stepped off one of those rocks, dropped about 2 or 3 feet, and it went boom, boom, with 20 yards from us into the woods. And I turned around and I said, "Kenzie, did you hear that?" And she said, "Yeah, that sounded like as big as a cow." I said, "How many feet did you hear?" She said, 2.
It was a cow squatch. That's what it was.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, oh, don't make that. Oh, somebody will have a cow squatch show now. You can't do that.
Oh, yeah, no kidding.
And we got the goat man and the sheep squatch, so why not, right?
I can't keep up with all of them, y'all. But
Yeah.
y'all, but what's, you know, being a little serious on that point, people perceive things even if they see something, and let's say it's a regular Bigfoot, but if they're not ready for it, and maybe it's running on all fours, or it jumps a funny way, and they come back and they're like, "Well, it looked like this or that, and it was massive, it was huge or whatever," and they don't know what to call it, right? So I don't know if that's how some of these names get made up, or because we,
watching them on all fours is the most terrifying thing. Watching them spider crawl like that.
Yeah.
I mean, that is absolutely terrifying to witness that. And they're moving, it's just like at an astronomical speed, completely doing them like gymnastic splits. It's crazy.
Yeah. I've never witnessed that, but my co-host Amanda, when she was in her early teens, heard something and turned around, and she calls it the bear rug Bigfoot, because it was so low to the ground on the tips of its fingers, and it had its mouth open looking at her.
Oh.
And she looked away and looked back, and it was gone. So I've probably heard 5 legit stories, 2 from here, and one of them actually was a rodeo guy. So didn't want anybody know his name. He actually told me if I told his name on the air that I would probably be buried somewhere on his farm. But I said, "Yeah, I got you." But
well, you're still here, so we're good.
Yeah, I can't keep a secret, y'all.
Yeah, me too. Sometimes,
especially with that kind of motivation.
Yeah. Keep it quiet and live. Tell it and don't.
Yep.
I mean,
yeah, that's right. Yeah,
where'd Roger go? Oh, well, he said something on the show, and he's not able to listen anymore.
Well, y'all know when people are joking and when they're serious. He was serious. So he stopped and looked at me and he said, "You better not." I'm not. I promise. But he was bow hunting years ago over in the next county, and he backed up into some cedars, and there was a sage grass out there, and he thought, well, I'll catch them as they come by. And he thought of, make it a short story. He thought he saw a black bull coming at him on off, walking. And he said it got close to him, and he's looking, and it stood up, and it's looking him in the eyes. This guy's pretty tall, but he said he was looking at him, and it said it looked surprised. And he said, I'm sure I look surprised. And he said all of a sudden it dropped, it turned and dropped on all fours. Now, like, and exploded. That's the thing. When they want to get away quickly, is what I hear. They can move very fast on all fours, and everybody has the same story. I've never seen anything move that fast, that big, move that fast. So it's.
But what makes it worse is they don't make no sound either. It's like a whisper. It's like they're floating the whole time.
That's even scary.
That's
it's levitating.
That's
yep.
Yeah, I've had some weird stuff happen to me, and when you're standing there in the woods and it's clear sunlight, and you've got something you're looking up about 10 foot, and it's obviously a tongue and a throat and sinus resonance, and your dog drops to the ground and starts shivering, and they're not scared of anything. And when you can't see a threat and it's right there and it doesn't make sense, and to your point, I heard it the first time. It was about 70 yards from me, and we're in the dry leaves. I mean, you couldn't even twitch your foot, and I mean, you could hear it. Whatever this was made up about 50 yards in a couple seconds. It was back there, and I'm like, what is that? And then all of a sudden it's right here. And I don't know what that was. I do know what's happened there, I can't tell you because I didn't see it, but I know what I heard. And if you've been around long enough on this earth, you can identify sounds. And it sounded to me, the only thing I can think of, because I thought about this a lot, if I was to call my dog and go like that, or it's like or I did use my whole tongue to do it. I can't do that. I could hear that, and I could hear, and it sounded big, y'all. So one of the hardest things I ever had to do was turn my back on it. And I said in my head, if you attack us from the back, you are SOB.
Exactly.
So it was like a tongue pop is what it was, basically. Like maybe bouncing off the roof of its mouth or something like that.
Full tongue pop. And I could hear, y'all know if you hear a dog drinking water or something with a bigger tongue, it's going to sound bigger. I could hear that pop, and it had to be coming from something pretty wide. And it also could hear the resonance in the sinus cavity. And I about locked down. I didn't know what to do. But I focused on my dog, and I've got a theory. It doesn't mean anything, but just from that experience, I immediately started focusing on her because I didn't know what to do. And I said, her name's Honey. I said, Honey, I'm not going to leave you, but you got to help me. And normally when she's out like that, having fun, she'll pull me. She's a little 50-pound staffy, and she'll get down like a tractor pull and try to pull me, my old butt, So on the way out, I got her to get up, and she hugged my left leg all the way out, looking up at me like help. And she was shivering so bad. And as soon as we got to the truck, she jumped in there, and I got in. And the bad part was I was recording on the phone. I was making a little video. So about 8 to 10 seconds before that started, I had it this way, and I turned. Well, I found out when I rewatched it, right in that turn, if I'd turned it off, it had just went black. It had just whatever. That the last second or two blurred and stopped. So I didn't turn it off. I did not. Matter of fact, I thought I still had it going. So when I got to the truck, I turned it off because I wanted to keep it on in case something happened to us. I turned it off and looked at it, and I'm like, I just turned that on. It started 1, 2, 3. So I was confused. So when I got to the truck, I turned it on. It worked. I don't know what happened. I have no. Oh God, there's Greg, y'all.
I was wondering if he knew this guy.
Yeah,
Hey,
Greg.
Greg, how you doing, man? And Michigan Sandman.
Hey, Michigan, what's up?
He had one for you there. Look like Mandelier.
I've got a Australian cowboy hat up here that I bought at an antique store. But it won't. I can't get my headphones to fit over it.
I didn't even think of that.
I might cut it out and adjust it.
Yeah. But
I'm sorry.
Amanda is your co-host?
Yeah.
I noticed her the other day.
Yeah, she works at the Bigfoot Expedition Bigfoot Museum in North Georgia. There with David Bacara, and I've never been. They say it's amazing. And so she takes reports. That's what part of her job. People come in from all over the Southeast or wherever, and if they have a Bigfoot report, they have a form. They'll fill it out and put a pin on the map and all. And that. No, don't. Greg's. I was doing a live one night, y'all. My son was filming, and Greg was on my phone, and I pulled off the impossible. I ran over a deer, and I wasn't even moving. So I don't know how, and they could hear it going on the truck. That's a hard.
We're gonna need to get some details on that. Just saying.
Yeah. We got plenty of time, Roger.
Well, it was a younger deer. And there was a high fence that had just been built, and I was going back. We were road booger, and that's what we call it. When we do that, go stop somewhere, make a few calls or whatever. And so I was slowing down because I knew the deer was panicking a little bit, and I was in my wife's truck, so I didn't want to damage that.
Yeah.
And so I stopped, and it ran around the front. I lost it. It ran around the front of the truck and gave it enough time, I thought, to go to the other side. Well, apparently, when it went around the corner, the hoof slipped on the asphalt and it tripped and it fell wedged under the front tire. It was terrible. It was terrible. And it was running on the bottom of the truck, and everybody on live could hear it. And I'm panicking, and I knew it was a deer, but my son is so dry and funny, and I'm leaving. I couldn't see the deer. I'm leaving, and he says, "Alive on YouTube. I hope it wasn't a homeless guy." He was. I'm like, now I got to go back and show everybody.
It's probably the only time in history that's ever happened.
Exactly.
I was like, how do you run over something sitting still? I don't understand that.
Exactly. Yeah, some of those are crazy. I mean, we've had people. When I was growing up out here, deer were everywhere. They were eating off your front lawn.
Mm-hmm.
And the first time I heard somebody hit a deer, it had actually ran up the windshield over the top and then flipped, got up and ran. The second one, I had a buddy or a neighbor that I went to school with. He said, "Hey, my dad died." I'm like, "Oh man, I'm sorry. Everything okay?" And he's like, "The deer came through the front windshield, lodged, then it was in the back seat, and it kicked him in the back of the head. It almost decapitated him."
Oh man, people see
like, that was not what I was expecting.
No, that's the thing. They'll jump at the last second. We're talking about tobacco and hay trucks and stuff like that before the show, and we saw it's like a 70-something model flatbed, big truck, and they were hauling tobacco, I believe it was, and one came through the windshield. But they said what happened was right at the last second, it tried to jump and clear the hood, and it went right. Everybody was okay. It just wrecked the windshield. But yeah, that and see then. I'm sure y'all have seen the videos from Smoky Mountains or Yellowstone or whatever, where the tourists are walking up to the the bison and all this stuff, or the mama bears and wanting to pet them, and you're like, no, don't. You don't never know what they're going to do, right? But the point I was getting to,
12 feet in the air.
Yeah, and the point I was going to get to, I forgot. Deer's hooves will slice you up.
Yeah,
they'll hurt you.
Scary. Let's
On your
Oh, Michigan. Oh, for Larry.
Good.
Yeah,
On your first
dude.
Bigfoot encounter, what kind of experience did you have, and how did it make you feel?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I don't think people talk about what it does to the mind and
Right.
how it changes your life. Little things like I'll tell what happened, but you know, I went from walking into the woods with a $2 flashlight back in the day, hour 2 hours before daylight, and coming out so late. My mom and daddy almost called a search party out for me, and didn't care. We roamed the woods at night. We would, as a kid, you didn't have much to do. You climb little sapling trees and ride them down, or swing on a vine, or then somebody would fall off in the hole and get skinned up, and we'd be in trouble. But we did that stuff. We didn't care. I didn't care if it's daylight, dark, whatever. And after that, I became more careful, more of a field hunter. I will go in the woods with other people, and I feel okay out there, but it stays with you. You're always looking. You're always looking at fence lines. You're looking behind rocks. You're looking ahead. You'll turn around and stop. And even simple stuff like one of my favorite things to do as a youngster, when I slept, I would push the bed up against the wall and sleep in that corner against the wall, that cool wall, and I felt secure. After I saw that thing, I moved to the middle of the bed. And I'm telling you, and I didn't think about it at the time. It just becomes stuff you do. But y'all, I just walked out one day. It was early in the year. It wasn't deer season, so my best recollection, it was somewhere in January, February area. No leaves on the trees, but the whatever was in that field was short, and it was just pretty green. And we did measurements later. There was a point out there, and it dipped back around. That's where I was a dirt pile. I had my chair, and there was briars and stuff. I was hiding behind that. So I've looked up there, walked up there, thousands of times, and I was just bored. Went out to see if I could see rabbits or deer or whatever. And when you live somewhere long enough, when a blade of grass is out of place.
Exactly.
And there was at about the 180 yard to 200 yard mark, there was a hill. There was an old cemetery access that I had to cross, and it went up on back of the hill. And if you stayed straight on it, which you couldn't, my dad showed me there was a old wagon road with the deep ruts, on the high sides. So that's kind of setting up. I was sitting out there looking at that. I was just about to leave, and I noticed something move. It come out at that point. And when it stepped out, I tell people, they say, well, the first thing I noticed, I noticed everything at the same time. That's why I panicked, because my dad was around 5'8", and I'd seen him up there, and I knew whatever this was huge, tall. And I'm looking at it, and it's about the color of a milk chocolate bar from head to toe.
Oh.
And the hardest thing to explain to people is the mass. You can't get that across. You can guesstimate. I've never seen a Bigfoot weighed, so I don't know what it. If I see a hog, I'm like, well, it might be 350, but I can't tell you this thing. But I can say 800 pounds. I might be off about 300-400 pounds. But
Close.
But the thing is, I told somebody, when something doesn't look right. You know what I'm saying? I could see my Uncle Buddy walking 400 yards away. I knew it was him by his gait, how he carried himself. You see a deer, coyotes, they walk there. You get all these not memories of things, and you can, well, I think that's a coyote up there. But what I'm saying is, even the way the moved and walked wasn't right to me. It was new. It was new to me. And it looked up the hill where it was going to go. And then all of a sudden, I don't know if it realized I was there. I don't know which way the wind was blowing or whatever. It was like at the 170, 75 yard mark, nothing in between us. And it stops, and it starts turning towards me, but it dipped that left shoulder and twisted at the waist and looked at me. And I went, and I'm thinking, should I run or I need to run? And I was about 40 yards from the house and the door. And I don't know whether I couldn't or I just didn't. I'm not the bravest dude in the world when something like that's happening. And it turned back. It looked away from me and looked back up that hill, and then immediately started walking. And I'd walked that hill many times. I hated that walk, but it was the shortest way to get to an alfalfa field, big alfalfa field on the back. If y'all deer hunt, you know that's a good place to hunt. And so the old man, it was about close to 90 years old, that owned this place, and he didn't bush hog all the time. So you'd have Johnson grass and regrowth and entangled stuff, and so you couldn't wade through it. You know, you have to step over it. So I knew that I would have to bring my feet up and over to the side and leaning and stumbling, and it would take me 5 to 10 minutes on a good day. And well, when this thing started up through there, if you've ever seen a Tennessee walking horse, it throws those legs out up and over. It was similar to that. That's the only thing I can compare it to. And its back was almost straight. And it went so smooth and so quick. This whole thing lasted 30 seconds. So I'm guessing it walked up that hill in 10 to 15 seconds. And you couldn't have paid me any amount of money. I couldn't have done it. I mean, I don't know if they would have bush hogged it clean. If I could have done that. I know I couldn't. So yeah. And then it goes out of sight up there. And I'm just, my mind's blown. The feeling is hard to describe. It's a numbness. It's, you got all this things running through at one time, you know, like, what was that? You know, I did notice there was a limb that dipped, that came out and dipped. And we went up there later, and it was like 7.5 or it's 8 foot, 8-ish foot. So this thing was anywhere between right at 7 to 7.5 feet. And I told my dad when he got home, I was like, should I tell him? And I'm like, well, he hunts out here too, you know, and he's going to think I'm crazy. So he came home, ate supper and everything. And I said, Daddy, I need to talk to you. And what is it? I told him what I thought it might be. And he laughed. When he laughed, I was like, well, okay. Well, maybe a year later, him and my mom was riding around on a Friday night, you know, back in those days, mid-'80s, country people, you know, ride around, sip on a beer, whatever, not hurting nobody, listen to music. And they were out, and it was probably, as a crow flies, probably maybe 2 miles from where we were at. And they were on it was gravel back then, and they were on this old road that was really steep and turned up at the top and back up the hill. And the banks were, I've gone back and looked at them, you know, with the fence and everything, whatever it was that broke the trees. Now, I didn't know anything about tree breaking back then when he told me. He said it was breaking saplings, and he heard some kind of deep noise. I can't remember exactly what he said from the he thought it was a bull at first. He said, but when it jumped over, it was in the dark behind him that he had got out to relieve himself. When he said, I heard it when it left the ground. I heard the leaves when it launched. And he's expecting hooves and like boom, boom, you know, like 4 hooves to hit the ground. And said it went boom, boom, and he felt it. And it confused him. And when it started running at him in the car, it was when the feet were hitting the gravel, it was kicking rocks to them. And he started screaming at my mom to get in the car now, and they got in and left. Well, he waited till the next morning and woke me up. And he said, hey, I need to talk to you. So the shoe's on the other foot now. And he said, I said, what's up? I thought I done got caught doing something. He said, I need to talk to you. I'm like, all right. And he said, how big was that thing you said you saw? I said, well, I told you that limb. And, you know, I said, it was freaking huge up here. It was kind of slimmer in the waist and the thigh. He said, there ain't no way. There ain't no way. I said, why are you asking me this? And he told me the story. I said, I told you. I said, Daddy, what else could it be? I said, you heard all this and you know, here we go again. It ain't right. So what is it? You know,
right,
he said, well,
when you're raised on a farm, like we were, and you know, we had some big bulls. We had some 2,500-pound bulls,
Mm.
and my encounters with some of my Bigfoot was you got that bull beller, that low bull beller. Well, you know, when you hear that, that's bigger than any bull you've ever owned or heard. So you know it's not right.
Yes,
and then when you hear or see it, like you said, it's very quick. And with those knees, it doesn't straighten his knees up. It keeps that bend in that knee to where it looks like it's gliding, but it's able to move through the woods so fast. Where I was in law enforcement, we had to be certified in radar and stuff early on, and a lot of times your radar didn't work, so you had to clock a car from one telephone pole to the next, and then divide that by the speed and work it out on a piece of paper to tell you what their speed was.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I done that with a Bigfoot here last year, and I got him right at 44, 45 miles an hour in the woods.
That's fast.
And he's
fast.
open coming around the hill, and it's not level. So between one tree and this tree, you know, it was 40-something mile an hour. And then we got chased by one in a truck, running the truck. And I know we got up to 38 to 40, maybe 42 mile an hour, and he stayed with us until we got into a straight stretch, and he started backing off. But I think he backed off on his own. I don't think he gave up.
Yeah.
You know?
And I've heard, you know, from witnesses, real credible witnesses that have been doing this for a long time, about having to get to the truck and get away. And there was one instance where the thing got its hand in between the bed and the cab, and in a early 70s, I believe it wasn't a newer model, you know, the thin sheet metal. And you know, on those old truck beds, I had a 72 Chevy farm truck, and you know, it was, I believe if I remember right, it was thicker steel, and it was rolled at the top.
Right.
You know what I mean? It wasn't real fancy. It was just a truck. And so this guy said it got the hands back there and pulled on them, and actually it bent that metal. And that's
so it's even
yes, sir. That's incredible amount of strength. But he did say he called up to him, like you were talking about, Bruce, and actually got his hands on the truck.
Yes.
See, and that's another thing, y'all. We're now got to the point where we're trying to just show respect and get along. I mean, I'm not going out and cook a burger with them, you know what I'm saying? But if you're hunting the same places,
share the beer.
Yeah, you gotta kind of try. You either quit what you're doing and let them have it, or just try to do your thing and let them do their thing. And we've learned a lot, but here's the thing. The point I want to get to with the speed that Bruce just talked about, and we've heard the speed from other people. Greg's in chat. Greg's got a couple stories, you know, talking about how fast they are. We know how strong they are. If they want you, they're going to get you. You know, a lot of times, we had one coming at us. We had a rock thrown at us in 2020, and this was what started all this again. Because I didn't have anything happen for 35 years. You know, it was a long gap, and so we had this new place. If y'all know where Jack Daniels is, it's you know, it's about 20 miles from Jack Daniels, but that area is ridge lines, hills, and rocks, and just, you know, straight down, and locust thorn trees, and you know, it's rough. So one day we're putting my son's blind out, and I was sitting in a chair, and over on the other ridge where we'd had the rock thrown like 5 years prior, we heard this monkey sound. Big, but like y'all said, y'all already said it. When they do things, it's big, it's loud, it's powerful. So we heard this, and I looked at him. He said, "What the heck was that?" I'm like, I think he's here. Well, I just like, keep a lookout. And I was like, all right, so we continue what we're doing. And within, it wasn't 10 minutes, quite 10 minutes, but the next time we heard it, he was further down the ridge, closer to us, but right there where I'm assuming one of them threw a rock at us. And it was about double fist size. So it was clearly, launched at us. But I got to thinking about that. That's one thing I do when I get home or I'm about to go to sleep. I'm thinking about these things, trying to put pieces together. And it hit me. If me and Bruce goes deer hunting, we're not going to walk through there yelling at deer, "Hey, we're coming to get you." You know what I'm saying?
Right.
A predator don't announce itself.
Exactly.
So it kind of made me feel a little better about this one, because we've had some kind of weird things happen, like with the breaks. Do y'all know what the locust thorns trees, how hard that wood is? Okay.
Strong wood, man.
All right. Let me ask y'all this. Do y'all know any human on this planet that could reach in through the thorns and grab one in the Y and high pressure snap them down? The splinters shot out the back, right? It didn't bend. It broke it. There wasn't a single thorn missing, knocked off. So that was the first thing we found. And then every year we've gone back in the past 4 years on that ridge leading to my son's, it's flatter. And if you go to the edge of the woods there and start up, you can see his tree stand, but you can't see that locust break. So every year we go in and we have found a fresh break similar in a Y like that. One of them was over 10 foot tall. It wasn't storm damage. It wasn't tractor damage. We looked at the bark. We looked to see if there's any, whatever. It just wasn't that. It's something, either
That
something or somebody.
That seems to be a friendly clan. If they're snapping at the Y, they've got used to you or your son going in there, and that's just one of their markers they leave to announce themselves at the same time.
Yeah.
You can have some pretty good interactions at a place like that too.
Well, Bruce, to be honest with you, the first one wasn't that great, but then it's been mild. Now this is the south end. The upper end was pretty rough for a little while, but meeting people like Flat Rock and Greg, and we got people from all over the country, Native American heritage and all, and they've told me things to do. We walked out the year before, and our rule is if we're walking out, because we'll carry MREs and water, we'll just stay all day because it's too hard to walk out and get lunch and come back. There's no riding four-wheelers, there's none of that. So I said, look, we'll just carry backpacks and we'll be in for the whole day. But here's what we're going to do. When we leave, we're going to make noise. We're going to kick rocks. We're going to, I don't want to walk up on one of these things in low light and spook them. Well, we did it. We were so tired. I didn't need a flashlight yet, but the green, I could see the green. I knew where we were going, but on the right side, the sun was going down on the other side. So this steep side here in the woods was dark. And we're so tired walking down through there. And all of a sudden, you ever walked up on an old man that can't hear and he didn't know you were there, and you say, "Hey, Joe," and he shuffled his feet and turned around and looked? That's exactly what happened. But it was massive, and it huff growled at us. Oh, hit us, right, it was 40 yards away maybe, and couldn't see it. Basically, almost the breath almost hit us in the face.
I had one to catch me.
You did what?
Yeah, I had one to catch me. I had one to catch me up in the top of a cedar tree running a parabolic mic, and he screamed like that. And I got him recorded sometime or another. I'll send you that recording.
All right. Yeah. I would like to listen to that.
But
But so in the recordings, y'all, people that watch this, doesn't do it justice for what it actually sounded like, right there with you live. But y'all, here's what I did, because all these people have been telling me about this stuff. I raised my hand. I showed my hands, because we're 40 yards from a big pissed off something. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to, something.
Trust me,
And
we do it.
so
Mhm.
I said out loud, "Hey, we're leaving. You can have the place for a few days. We'll be back in a little while. Sorry we spooked you or whatever." We turned and we're walking down the hill. My son says, "You know what? It's weird." I'm like that. I don't know that, all this is weird. Like, what do you think's weird? And he said, we joke all the time. He's so funny. But he said, it's not scaring me as bad anymore. I said, because we've been taught things. We've been, when I did what I did, you knew why I was doing it. But here's the thing, y'all. If that would have been a regular animal over there, I was talking loud. I wanted to hear me. If it had been something over there and it was a deer, maybe, let's say it was a buck, and I said that, what's that? The deer's going to run. You know what I'm saying? This thing never moved. It never made another sound. It stayed in the same spot. We walked out, and then, I don't have enough time to tell everything that's happened there, but I woke up last year, opening gun season. I've got bad hips now and stuff. I couldn't go. And I always tell him, hey, get in a spot where, you can text me or you can put me on a Zoom call or something. And I've got my location services on him, and I'll check on it. Well, I slept later that morning. Man, I woke up I don't know how many missed texts, how many missed phone calls. And I looked at the time they started, and it was before daylight. I'm like, uh-oh. But so I texted, you okay? He said, yeah. And the phone rung like almost immediately. I said, what's going on? He said, he was waiting on me when I came in this morning. I said, well hold up now. What happened? He was walking past the locust breaks, like, we just talked about. And so you're on a ridge and it drops off both sides like this. And it was, whatever it was standing just off the top of the ridge, close to the woods, a quick getaway point. He has his headlamp on. He's carrying his chair, fold up chair and he's got a gun strapped on his back. And when his lights, he looks up, he sees two orangish red glowing eyes. He said they're impossibly far apart. And he said he saw them blink more than once. And he stopped in his tracks and was like, oh crap, what did I do? So my son, being Peyton, says, I'm going to go ahead and use the word he used, not all of them. I said, what did you do? He said, I couldn't see him. It's like it was soaking up light, kind of, and I'm like, is that a cow? Is that a bull? Whatever. And he's like, he noticed the eyes are facing forward. And he's pretty sharp. Peyton is. He said, the eyes, I'm trying to talk it away. Like, no, this can't be what this is. So he said, he took a page out of my book and he said, hey, I ain't after you, you big son of a bitch. Go do what you were doing. And he said, Daddy, I swear he sounded disappointed. He went, oh, and he turned and went off down there. He said it was big. I said, where are you at now? He said, oh, I'm in the stand. I'm like, you crazy? It's like 50 yards, He said, oh, he left. Right. And I'm like, if that would have happened to me when I was 27 years old, I don't even know. But
be running.
I'd be burning the soles off my shoes is what I'd be doing. I'd be running so fast.
Yes. But he's been around enough. Look, there was one thing that happened to us. My wife's family has about 130 acres on the north end. And it's a weird place because I always knew it was different. But they just deemed it a while back, Cedar Glades. If you go to Lebanon, Tennessee, it's several counties. It's the Nashville Basin. And it's the only place in the world like it. And what's different is, I was talking about those rocks earlier, the big rocks. There's the Duck River. But you walk through there and you see hardwoods mixed with cedar, hickories and oaks and, cedars all intermingled, which that's not, out of the ordinary for here, but just the way they're mixed up. And then you might step on a prickly pear, we call them, and you'll see these plants that look like they come out of Florida, down in the swamps, and You'll have moss on the rocks. There's caves freaking everywhere. There's caves, and just the plant, but it's really diverse and weird. And so we went up there. We would go sit at night when we first met and got married, and one of our things, we'd go sit in the back of the truck and watch the stars. It's dark out there in the middle of nowhere. We enjoyed doing that. And I don't remember what the first thing happened was. I don't know if it was that orb looking thing we saw in the tree that lasted about 20 minutes.
20 minutes. Wow.
It wasn't round. So I've talked to people that said, I've seen orbs since. And I saw something when I was about 17 that, I can tell that later. But so this thing was probably about 9 to 10 inches long, and it was changing shape, but it wasn't consistent all over. It was like undulating. So this side would get smaller, and Heather saw it first. She said, "What's that in that tree over there? 20 yards away, 10 foot up, And I said, "I don't know." I said, "Is that a reflection?" And I'm looking for the moon. There's no moon. It's cloudy, and I'm like, "What is that? Is it moving?" So I'm going through all this, So I pull the truck up so I can get a better look at it. And I said, it's moving. This one up now. I had this right here, didn't pull it out, wasn't thinking about it. And I still don't know what it was. I went the next day. I cannot not do this. I drove 20 minutes up there the next day, looked around the tree to see if any disturbance in the leaves. Nothing, no disturbance. There was no game cams. There was no anything with a I knew that probably wasn't what it was, but I had to make sure. And
they're called energy bars.
What? Really?
Called,
Or you just make that up?
Okay. No. I've known paranormal for 40 years.
I got that portal video on my page. That 47-second video of the stuff I got coming out. It's like a 20. It had to have been a 20-foot portal right in the middle of like a clearing between two tree lines. And we went out there not expecting to see it. We were just going to do our normal, night hike and see what we could find. And all of a sudden, I see this like little white ball, and I'm like, all right, it could be anything, right? It's 9 o'clock, Southeast Michigan. Who knows what it could be? All of a sudden, it started getting like brighter, bigger, like it was gaining power. And I got this whole thing filming, and first off, we're caught off by the fact that there's like a 20-foot ball just going in the middle of nowhere, and then stuff starts coming out of it. And when I say coming out of it, on two legs, it looked like Sasquatch is walking out of a portal, probably 30 or 40 of them, and they're just jumping into the trees right next to the portal, like they're just stopping for some playground time for a while before they're going to leave or whatever. And it's not the first time I've seen that portal, man. That ain't the first time we've seen that. But that was the time it was the strongest. But it'll still be out there from time to time at certain times of day. It seems to be maybe like a lunar cycle thing. Who knows? Yeah,
that's what I was going to ask. What time of year was it?
This was the summertime.
Okay.
This was probably mid-June, I would say.
Is the area have full of quartz and all that?
This is actually an urban environment. That's why I started the group Urban Bigfoot. This is the back of a local park where all this was going on. And we've had so much stuff happen back there between tree structures, footprints, stuff being thrown at us that that's why I started Urban Bigfoot. I'm like, there ain't no way these things are just in isolated locations. You hear about a passing dumpster visit or something from time to time, but this is extensive. This is it's pretty much 6 miles of woods. The further west you go, it ain't nothing but farmland. Monroe County is old farmland, a lot of old, where they used to put their houses along the water so they'd have the fresh water coming into the house. So there's a lot of old homesteads here.
Well, you're talking about the rabbit hole. If you'd have told me that 5 or 6 years ago, I'd have been like, I'm not going to say anything, but what?
Same.
But
I was always flesh and blood creature for the longest time.
Yeah, it's if you go out there long enough at night, odds are you're going to see something you can't explain. Now we caught Flat Rock. Matter of fact, he was in there earlier. I don't know if he's still here. In South Alabama, we were in a location, Talladega National Forest, and I saw some red orbs, and which wasn't it was it was one of them places where there was a few of us there, and a red orb's like the mildest thing that can happen, you know. So I'm like, hey, y'all see those lights over there? And I'm making sure we're on a ridge. I'm looking to make sure it's not Venus or Mars, or you know what I'm saying. You check out first, and I'm like, wait a minute, that thing's moving, and it's in the woods. So I said, hey, y'all see those red lights over there? And it was moving, like not floating on the wind, like it knew where it was going, and it was going around stuff. Well, there's several witnesses saw it. Well, when that happened, Flat Rock had just bought like a $4,500 thermal, and another guy there had a like a $400 or $500 one, and Flat Rock could give it to him as a gift. So nobody knows how to use them. And I somebody hands me, they went and got him, and we're pitch dark after midnight, and somebody shoves a thermal in my hand, and I'm trying to see it, and I'm like, is it on? Yeah. I'm like, so I put it up to my we're standing right at the woods. I put it up to my eye, and I see a face, and I look at the counter, it's on 0. I said, Flat Rock, is this thing recording? And I'm trying to not panic, and he said, no. I'm like, we need this thing recording like right now, because I'm looking at the two eyes, and the nose was wild, because when I say this, people look at me funny. It didn't look like a monkey nose, and it didn't look like a mixture between a human and monkey nose, and it didn't look human. It had a freaking Muppet nose. It came down, it was long, and it turned under, and the nostrils was right under that tip. But the look in its eye region, it wasn't happy.
That sounds like a gugway, to be honest with you.
Well, yeah. Oh my God, y'all! I get chill bumps talking about this stuff, because this thing it's less than 10 feet away. Yeah, I'm leaving. Y'all shut up. No, I'm kidding. But so
I got somewhere to be.
Yeah, yeah. But right as and I've got it on it, and Flat Rock's fiddling with. He's trying to hit record. He hits the wrong button, and it takes a picture. But right before he does that, this thing is dipping its head, but it's keeping its eyes locked on me. And right as he touched it, I lost it. And the picture we got, I can see it, but hardly anybody else can see it, because I know what I was looking at. What I think we caught was, all right, there's definitely a tree. You see the tree bark in half of the frame or a third of the frame. And there's a thing that looks like a little chihuahua head, but I think it's the fist. And the angle of the wrist is perfect. And this thing, let me get it right in this thing. I think what happened, it was pushing away. And what you're looking at is up the nostrils. You see the brow ridge and the mouth open and all that. Now, I understand if I'm there with you, I can point it out. People can kind of see it, but now I can't unsee it. But I'm the only one that saw that. But he did get the recording on, and Harley Owens was with us, and I'm like, well, I just cut it off. He's no. Last time this happened to us, some crazy stuff happened. Leave it on. I'm like, all right. So I'm scanning the woods trying to find this thing again, and all of a sudden, this orb pops into view. Now, this is looking through the viewfinder. It looked like 4K, we call it like a PlayStation 5 graphics, right? It looked like
high def,
high def, right? So what I'm looking at, it's not too far away from it. It's about baseball size. It looks like a human cell. It's got a nucleus, and it's got a membrane, and it's pulsating, but it's also see-through. And I'm glad there's no audio, because I started dropping some F-bombs. I said, yo, I ain't gonna believe this.
If you want some F-bombs, just go watch my video on my page.
He's got one too.
Hey, that happens. And so I'm trying to keep up with it, and it's moving around. And so Kenny has got he's sitting down in a chair, and right at the end of the clip, you can see me catch the back of his head. So we're in the dark, and nobody else can see it. And I didn't know Kenny was looking, and he's staying in one spot. Well, it gets to a certain spot, and it pauses, and it drops down real fast. Well, when it drops down, Kenny says, I got it. And man, that made, because you don't know in the heat of things if you're nuts, if you're seeing things or whatever. Yeah. Well, he got it. Then I was on pins and needles, dude. Like, Flat Rock had to go back to his house. We came up to Tennessee. It took like 3 days for him to get home and get everything. And he sent me a text. All he said was, "We got it." And it's freaking amazing. I had all these experts like, yeah, we're going to analyze it and we're going to tear it apart. And we don't hurt your feelings. I'm like, you ain't hurt my feelings if you tell me what it is. I won't know what it is.
Yeah.
I've seen some of the orbs have faces in them too, almost. You can
Yeah.
almost see, like, maybe
Scott
that's how
has
they
too.
travel. Maybe they travel in orb form
Big.
and then manifest. You know, I'm not saying all Bigfoots have powers. I would say probably the first ones did, but as the breeding population continues, they probably get diluted. And then you just have some normal, more primate types.
And there could be different types of them that could be a little bit different from each other.
Colors.
That flesh and blood versus, get this, you know, I do a lot of thinking. It don't do me any good. But what if it's something that's something else, but wants you to think it's a Bigfoot because you know what a Bigfoot is?
Like a shapeshifter or something along those lines?
I don't know. If I was an alien and I could do that, man,
I mean, I've heard stories of Bigfoots being able to maybe fully give themselves over to the dark side, and that's where you get a lot more of the kind of darker sort of Bigfoot activity that takes place.
You know what? Right now, everything's on the table because we don't know. You know,
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
You got to be open-minded.
Yeah.
So much we don't know about them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Bruce, you've had something.
Their abilities
right?
are
Do what?
good to see what they want to. That's about
Yeah, you
it.
had something similar with the
Abilities,
Bruce.
we're going to see all they can do.
I think we're losing you, Larry.
Oh, really?
There you are.
Yeah, I think your
Bruce.
Wi-Fi signal dropped there for a couple.
Yeah, it looks like, huh?
Bruce, when you've seen these things you've seen, have you noticed a visceral body reaction? Your thoughts are not as clear, or you're not panicking, but do you feel different when you actually lay eyes on one? I've had that happen to me.
Some of the ones that I'm used to, it doesn't bother me. If I run across one that's a new one, or I haven't had many encounters with him,
Yeah.
You will get what I call a nervous system disorder.
It's
not that you're scared or nothing. You're just your thinking is not completely clear, and you're second guessing yourself when you know better.
Thank you. I can't. I try to explain that to people, but I can't explain it. It's like
infrasound almost to a degree.
Yeah, you just have to, like that little thing on the computer where it's thinking.
Yeah, right.
Loading. We'll get to it.
Yeah.
Well, if you get into the zapping, you can feel the zapping throughout your body. It can be a reaction of doom and gloom. It can be the closing of the throat where you think you're not breathing, but you are. It can my last zapping. I was had to go to the heart doctor about 6 months ago. It happened the day before, and the bottom half of my heart had an extra skip. So I had to go back 3 days in a row. When I went back the third day, it had cleared up.
Me and my buddy, we got zapped one night. We had the flu like the next day. I had like the flu, it almost felt like. Couldn't get off the toilet. My legs felt heavy. It was almost like I got like a flu bug. But that was the worst I've ever gotten.
You got an energy dump with a nervous system dump, and that just throws the whole system out of whack. That means everything's out of whack, including your brain, your eyesight, your hearing. Just like I was telling Roger there, that it'll cause you to ask yourself, what did I see, when you knew exactly what you seen. It's just what the body can handle.
I don't see or hear that good anyway, so it don't matter, I guess.
Well, or people, I'm not talking about people that are sidelined and can't get out and all this stuff. I understand that, but the armchair quarterbacks. Well, why didn't you do this? I'd have done that. I'm like, stop it right now. You don't know what you're going to do, because I have all these plans. It's like Mike Tyson said, until when you get popped in the mouth, the plans go out the window. So,
right.
And I know some people that that are in law enforcement and other things, and been heavily trained, former military, that's been trained to handle stressful situations and all that, and they'll tell you the same thing a lot of times. Like, it messed them up. You know, like I don't know if it's something they're doing or like that's why I'm asking the question because it does feel like something interfering with your normal thinking process. It's not like a brain fog. It's just like there's been three times where I've locked in and tried to take in as much details as I can, but I can't explain why I did certain things. Right. Why did I not stop? Why didn't I do this? Why didn't I do that? It just all of that logical crap goes out the window.
That's because the energy that it's delivering and your energy is colliding. So what you're trying to comprehend, your brain already knows it. You know what you're dealing with.
Yeah.
But it distorts you. I call it the shock effect, the shock and awe effect. You know, you get surprised by one. There's 10 different things you should have done. You should have got your camera up, or you should have turned towards it with you strapped on GoPro, or you should have tried to make eye contact, or try to use a verbal language like a chirping. I use an owl sound. I make an owl call. They'll respond. But after you have a few encounters, that'll go away. You won't feel that anymore.
Well, see,
you'll stay calm and low key.
Well, so far, like now with the sounds and like we scared that one, and I was calm, as cool as a cucumber, but I didn't see it. You know what I mean? And then there's been instances where I've seen them, and look, y'all, it ain't like you go out and see these things all the time. And so it's a surprise every time. I find a track. I probably found, I don't know, I don't count how many I found. It's not that many times, but that's always a surprise. I'm like, oh my God, there's that fits the profile. Look at this. Well, I guess I went so many years without thinking about this and trying to push it back and all. It's just hard to explain to people. And old Greg was in here earlier. I don't know if he's still in here. He had one of the best lines ever. Somebody asked him, why don't you get a picture of it? He said, or why ain't there good, clear pictures? And there's more stuff out there than people just share them privately, people who they trust. And, I'm sure y'all know about all that. And, cause you don't want people coming in and if they're around your house, making them mad and then leaving, and you have to live with them. And then some people get attached. Yeah. Some people get attached to them, I don't want anybody to come in here and hurt them.
I got a question for you, Roger. You ever got gifted? Have you ever found any gifts or anything out in any areas?
Yeah. Okay. But not early on. But and only at the place where we spooked that one up. We had the rock thrown, and that's why I'm saying this one's a little better interaction. My dumb self, I'm like, well, if it's coming around and it's not wanting to hurt us, maybe I can leave something, And so I found some old thin cedar trees that had been dead for a long time, and made an X, because we had found a big X made out of cedars just randomly one day. It wasn't there, and then all of a sudden it's there. And one root ball, it had been pushed over, but the other one was brought in from somewhere else. It was pulled up, and so I'm like, you know what? This was the day it was on the ridge over there, and it made that monkey sound. And I can't do it. So I started looking around. I wedged them in. I found 2 trees. I wedged them in real tight, and I knew, there's a few cows there, and they might knock them over or whatever. So I took another one. I found a log about that big around. It was light. It'd been dead a while, about 4 or 5 foot long, and I laid it in the middle, kind of like an asterisk or whatever. And I told Peyton, I said, when you come back, if this has been changed any or anything's been left, let me know. Send me pictures or FaceTime me. He FaceTimed me. He said, these are the 2 trees right here. I'm like, yeah, it looks like them. He looked around. He said, those logs are gone. All 3 of those things have been removed. They're gone. I'm like, are you sure? He said, yeah. They're not here in these, because he got a hardwood section there with, with hickories and stuff where he hunts with bow and stuff. And I'm like, "Are you sure?" He's yeah, and he went around FaceTime. He said, "I don't see him anywhere." And so anyway, when we go in one way and then we go out another way, every time we do that. And he was walking out and he sent me a picture. He said, "What the hell is this?" You know, and it was a cow mandible that had been split here, and here cow passed away, and his uncle had carried it back as far away as he could. He had a couple of those or whatever. This thing down that path we come down the hill was stuck up with this part of the chin in the ground about 2 or 3 inches, and green grass. No, he's looking around. There's no impressions. He said, "This is getting a little weird." And I'm like, "Well, where did that come from?" He said, "I don't know. When I'm standing here now," and he was talking to me, and he said, the grass." He said, "I can't see the grass is, laid down anywhere." He said, "Could a dog have been or coyote been chewing on it?" And I'm like, "How far down in the ground is it?" And he was showing me, and he said, "I'm not touching it." So then I had a glyph just as a random thing I made, and I had a little chart. If it turns into this, make this one. What is like a column, A B C D column, one column, 1 2 3 4 5. If it makes this, make whatever. So I made it, and I'm like, this is you don't never expect anything. So I made it. It wasn't very big, and I went back to check it, and it had been moved to the exact one that it was supposed to. And I'm like, nobody knew I did that. I don't tell anybody that I'm doing that stuff.
Mhm.
And it wasn't huge. So, and then this is on the north end. This is not left for us, but I don't know if y'all remember the bad snowstorm everybody had, during the winter, where it broke trees and stuff here. But
Right.
I had snow and ice on the ground for a while. Well, a couple days before that happened, I got a 10-pound bag of Red Delicious apples. I think they're Red Delicious. Anyway, I love apples, but it was a big bag. And Heather said, "What are you going to do with that?" I said, "I got an idea. There's a big red oak tree, I believe is what it is. And there's a burrow. There's a anomaly at the bottom of it on the back side away from the field. It's right in the edge of the field. And right behind that's where we've had a lot. I'll tell that crazy story later, but this burrow is about 2.5 foot off the ground, and it's got a perfect indentation. I set that bag of apples up there, didn't open them. And she kind of looked at me. I'm like, well, hey, we come back and the squirrels get into it, rats or something, we'll know, raccoons, we'll know. We left all that bad weather. It was like a week and a half before we could get back up there. And my son and I went back. He said, "What are you doing?" So I left a 10-pound bag of apples behind that tree over there. And it was daytime. I walked around behind the tree. The whole bag was gone. There was no evidence of a bag of apples ever being there. There was no cores. There were no peelings. There were no stems. There was no plastic. We found about 5 small pieces of plastic, about 90 to 100 feet back in the woods. But we didn't find the rest of the bag. And once again, I didn't find any proof that any apples were there. And the reason I didn't go with a small bag of apples, I wanted it to be big enough, something big had to walk off with it. I can't tell y'all what did that, but the stuff that we've had happen that right there, I'm pretty sure I know what it probably is. So we one of the scariest things we've ever had happen, it was about a 20-minute ordeal. And the first time I ever thought about leaving them stuff, and people will tell you not to do that, and I don't listen very well. And we carried a rake, some apples and oranges. And the oranges, I've talked to people that they won't take the oranges here or in East Tennessee, and I've talked to other people that said they won't take their oranges. But anyway, I cleaned out around. I found a good tree to wedge some apples in. Some, it wasn't a big tree, and I took and raked out a big area around it. So if something stepped in there, I might get a trap. And it was big enough circle that you're going to have to step in it to get it. While we're doing that, when we stepped in there, it rained a little bit, so it's usually loud in there with all the leaf clutter. We jumped up 7 deer, does, and they ran to the left, and we're looking at them 20, 25 yards away, and they don't make a sound. Right? I mean, they're running wide open. Some of them are, whatever, and it's flagging, but you can't hear them because the ground's soft now. The leaves are soft. I can't remember what happened first. We heard something. It might have been the first tree break, the sapling break, which they sound like guns going off, when they're green. And we look at each other, and I've got the phone going recording, and I hear something off in the distance at like 11 o'clock. And I look at my son. I'm like, "What was that?" He said, that wasn't a coyote. It was real high pitched. And I'm like, uh-oh. So then we started hearing the pacing and mumbling. And I called Greg. I said, "Hey, did these things pace in a circle?" He said, I've had them do that. He said, "Was it mad?" I'm like, "Yeah, it was pretty mad." So you hear a little bit of mumbling. It was about 50 or 60 yards just out of sight. I don't know how far away this thing was at 11 o'clock. And I could hear this thing was picking up, when I say boulder, I'm, maybe 20 to 30 pound rock, and hurling these things through the woods at our 3 o'clock. And you could hear the rock hit the little limbs, big limbs, bouncing off trees, hitting the ground, and rolling to a stop, hitting other rocks. And we're like, uh-oh. And so another tree break. Then I'm like, you can hear me on the film, like, what is that? Every time right before something happened, it was like, what is that? Real quiet. What we figured out, this one that was mad was reaching down, picking up logs, picking it up on one end, dragging it to it. You could hear the other end dragging, then picking it up and hitting trees with it. And because it was dead, I'm assuming the end of it, whatever the end was breaking off and helicoptering, doing the same thing the rocks were doing, hitting the little limbs, slapping the little limbs, the big limbs, hitting the trees, bouncing and rolling to a stop. This went on for like 20 minutes. And I told my son, then you have this Jurassic Park moment, like, "Hey, you need to watch our back. This might be a diversion." He turns around and he said, "Oh no." No.
Exactly.
I'm like, "Oh, that ain't what I wanted." Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I'm like, "Oh shit." So
Yeah.
I had a AR and a 357. No, he had the AR. I had the 12 gauge and 357. He had 357 and the AR. I felt so undergunned at that moment. I've never felt like that in my life, because at one point, the one that was mad throwing the fit was facing us, and the amount of air expelled out of 2 nostrils was unbelievable. It wasn't like the huff growl we've heard. It was like it was less of a growl, more of a air. When you take a air hose off of a tank, and it does that. It wasn't even comparable to a horse. It was so much air. I could just picture it coming out of nostrils. It was amazing. It about ended me right there. When I realized how big whatever it was over there was doing, I told my
Showing
son,
a recording area on there.
And so I didn't know what to do. I got my kid out there. He can take care of himself. But I'm like, I said, "Peyton, clear your mind." It's kind of like the Ghostbusters, the Stay Puft Marshmallow. Clear your mind. Don't think of nothing. And he said, "All right." And I said, "Look, we're just curious. We're not here to hurt you. We're, this is family land." I don't know what all I said, but it was more like kind of begging for mercy, really. And as I'm doing this, I didn't tell my son to do this. He set that rifle against a tree. He set it down. I didn't tell him to do that. I asked him later why he did it, and he said, I just felt like I was a threat. And what you were saying, he said, you're saying we're not going to hurt you. Wow. Here I'm sitting here with an AR-15. So he set it down, and then there was one more.
We got storms or something coming in. We're losing.
Yeah, I don't know. It may be doing it here too. But I'll finish it up. There was one more tree. Tree snap. Can y'all hear me?
Yep, I got you. I can hear you.
Okay. Well, there's one more tree snap, and everything quit. And I felt this energy shift, and I said, and I always do this. I try to ask the person, see if they're feeling the same thing. I said, Peyton, what are you feeling right now? He said, after you said that, the feel of the whole woods just changed. I said, yeah, I felt it too. Nothing happened again, and everything that's happened since then has been a little more, less aggressive, except for that. We think we got a young one, and he'll scare the crap out of you. We were sitting there one night around the fire, been there 3 hours, nothing had happened. I turned my recorder off, threw it in the truck, went and relieved myself, come back. And said, when are we going to leave? I said, well, let these logs burn down, then we'll put it out and we'll go. My son and I are sitting with our back. The woods are about 30 yards away. There's hay in the field. They hadn't been cut yet. And then a little bend. It was about 40 yards to the bend. We're sitting there, y'all. And all of a sudden, this scream 30, 35 yards away approximately in the dark, pitch dark behind us, starts out. And it, for the first split second, it sounded male. And then it went so high and lasted for so long that he jumped up and threw a flashlight on it at that direction. And I'm looking at him. I said, can you see it? He said, no. So I said, I'm coming out the other side. So I wheeled around the other side with the bigger flashlight, and we couldn't see anything. And when you try to explain to people how horrible of a scream that was, the only way that I came up with it, to a way to kind of people to picture it, it sounded almost male at first, and then it went up and it hit that arc. And as it was coming down, it was kind of raspy. And I said, imagine if you took somebody and theoretically tied them to a tree for a week, let bugs bite them, all this, and play, Taylor Swift, just messing with them. And then go back after a week and saw their ankles off with a hacksaw. And they're going like, oh my God. I said, that's exactly what my reaction was.
Man.
You know what I mean? It was really, really didn't sound of this earth.
It don't get much worse than that.
Yeah, Taylor Swift thing just set it off, didn't it?
Yeah, you take my ankles, just don't give me the Taylor Swift.
Yeah, exactly. She was a great song.
I'll lose my feet. Just turn on AC/DC or something.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah,
that's more along the lines.
Death by AC/DC. I'll accept that.
That's better.
That's bad.
But no, it's just that's the only way you can reproduce the shock that we had hearing it. And my recorder was off. I wish, and I talked to some seasoned people. They said, well, I sent that recording from before to Mark Newell, with Sawdust Beast and all that. And he put it on spectrogram and took out some of the extra sounds. And we heard 2 of those high-pitched howls. We didn't hear the other 2. There were 4. And they had the same signature as what they feel like, there's no known animal range and that upside down Nike swoosh arc, and that tail off. And he said, Roger, this fits what we've said for years is possibly, Bigfoot howls. And I'm like, you got to be kidding me. And Larry Porch, his co-host, and we're all good friends now. He said, what's scary is, Roger, you didn't react to 2 of them. I said, I only heard 2. I didn't hear the other 2. And now I'm sitting there thinking, what else am I not hearing? But But no, I was thankful to him for doing that for me, and I didn't think because when I plugged it in the truck and I turned it up on the speakers as loud as you could, we could barely hear it. He cleaned it up for me, and I was like, man, I'm glad you did that. But anyway, the thing that Peyton, I forgot about this. Peyton, when he turned around, when I said check behind us, when he turned around, y'all, it's raining and or drizzling off and on and cool, and it's right around 50 degrees, maybe high 40s. And when he turned around, there's a beech tree back there. He said he turned around and looked directly behind us, and it looked like he said 10 feet from the ground up. He said I wouldn't have noticed it, but it looked like a gas vapor. You know what? Like vapors that come off gasoline. You can see, and it went in front of the beech tree, and it kind of blurred a little bit, and it went on. It went left to right. That's what caused him to go, oh no. So don't know what that was, but you know, I had that was the same spot I had that thing clicking at my dog or whatever, clicking at my dog. It's the same spot where I had a tree pulled down. I was there, had my phone going, it worked. It looked like it was pulled down. It didn't look like it was pushed down. I know that don't make sense because the tree bent at the end. And then, so anyway, so my son was going through it and he screenshot, which I know video, this is hard. And I know it pixelates, but he took a screen, he saw something and he finally got it at the right point. And he said, Daddy, look at this. And just above where that tree was like at this angle, it looks like a daggum 2.5 foot Sasquatch head with eyebrows, a nose and lips and chin and the hair around the face, but it's not totally visible. You know what I mean? It's not see-through. And what was wild is there's nothing there. I mean, there's nothing there. Nothing's supposed to be there because I was looking right at it. What I noticed was right on the forehead area of this anomaly, there was a sheen. It was a little bit of a reflection. The sun was behind me, shining that way. So there you go again. I don't know what it was. I mean, I'm not saying that, hey, I caught a cloaked Bigfoot on video because I can't prove that. But it was bad enough. My son, like you have to look at this. I'm like, oh, I don't want to. So if you watch a few movies,
kind of crazy.
Yeah, but you know, I don't talk about a lot of that a whole lot. You know, if you can't, you know, the tracks and stuff I've got on video, the orbs on video. I've got audio that's it's really good audio from South Alabama. And I'm not going back to that place. I'm not going to tell exactly where it's at because I'm scared of that place. We all as a group think there's something more going on. It's on the 33rd parallel. There's courts everywhere. There was a massacre within a few miles of the place.
A lot of layered phenomena going on.
The energy there, and you can be if I put y'all around the fire, or I told one of y'all, hey, we're going to sit here and we're going to play music on low and we're going to talk and laugh, cut up. Walk out there about 25 yards and see if you can hear us. You can't hear us. And that's in every direction. So I don't know if that's like Sedona, Arizona, and you got the wild vortices or whatever, because, you know, I don't know what it is.
It's like space-time is thinner there or something. Like maybe there's a weak spot in the veil or something like that.
Maybe. I didn't know I'd be talking about this 5 years ago, but we've had so many weird things happen and we've caught stuff on, and I know I have friends that like, man, you ain't gonna believe this. Like you're talking about, you know, they'll show you, you know, what is that? I'm like, hell, I don't know what it is, but what my favorite words, it ain't right. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I'll tell you what, Bruce is the guy to ask on those questions. He's got all that info and good stuff.
Are we friends on Facebook?
I'm not sure. We may be.
I'll tell you something pretty cool. It's only going to take about 20 seconds, but in the wintertime, we got stuck in the car when we were leaving the park, And I was improvising, trying to figure out how to get us unstuck. And we had a couple of these tarps from Bass Pro Shops, you know, something that kind of like rough material you'd put over a duck blind or something like that.
Yeah.
So I rolled it up real good, tucked it behind the tire to kind of give it some traction so the car would get out. Well, we got in the car when it got rolling, and I just kept on pushing. I'm like, we ain't stopping until we get out of the snowbanks. My buddy's hitting the gas. I'm running and pushing the back, and we had left the tarp in like the tracks of the snow where we got stuck. Next day, I come back because I had forgotten. I'm like, oh, shit, I forgot it when we got home. I come back. It ain't there. I'm thinking maybe just the county or something cleaned it up. Yeah. We're going out in the woods later that night, and I'm looking up in the trees because I learned the hard way. You got to look up, too. It ain't just forward and down. There's plenty of stuff going on 15, 20 feet up in the air, too. And I look up, and I got my headlamp on, and I'm recording. That tarp was up in that damn tree, draped over branches like they were using it. So they saw us stuck the whole time. Yeah. You can't tell me the wind picked that up and carried it a mile into the woods, and it just so happened to land in a tent fashion in the trees.
Look, there's so much. But the thing is, with weird stuff, you can still. You might not know what did it, but you can sometimes rule out what didn't do it, and that helps a lot. You know, Bruce, are you in Tennessee?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
What you? I'm not going to ask what town. West, middle, or east?
I'm Middle East.
Okay.
I'm in the Cookville area, Cookville, Tennessee area.
Yeah. So what's that road up there? Deers, Buck, something. No, that's. I had a friend. I worked for the Tennessee Lottery for a little while, and one guy lived over there, hunted a lot. There was a store over there. It was Holler. It had something to do with it wasn't Beverly Hills or something. It was weird. But anyway, so you were a police officer. So, no, it wasn't. It was so you were a police officer?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
In law enforcement, I held the gauntlet of positions, I guess you could say, over my career.
Yeah. I wanted to be a detective at 19. I was working at the sheriff's department, worked there for a couple years, a little over 2 years. And I was getting to go out with the guys, and when I wasn't on, my shift. And I learned real quick that I wasn't built for sights, smells, and emotions. Yeah, I'm like, I'm glad y'all took me out here. I'm out of here. No, but it was a great experience. I did a lot of growing up in 2 years.
Yeah,
learned a lot about people, and then my family had a store on the interstate for 28 years, so I came in contact with people from all over the world. So it's
where you located at?
I'm in Marshall County.
Marshall County. Okay.
You know where so you got Shelbyville, that's Bedford County with the walking horses and all that, and the walking horse headquarters is here. And then you got Murray County, that's Columbia, and then you got Fayetteville. So I'm in kind of that triangle there.
You're down below Woodbury.
Yeah, but I think that's closer to Nashville.
Yeah, well, that's up a little. Yeah, that's a little higher up above Murfreesboro and stuff through there.
Yeah, so I'm an hour from Murfreesboro.
Okay, you ain't too far out then.
No, I'm not. I'm right in this spot. So, Bruce might have heard of this before, but so you got the Nashville Basin, then you got a Circle Ridge system, and they call it. Some people call it Dimple of the Universe. You can see it from space. It's just, it's not a north to south. It's not a east west. Like 24 running in an angle. It's actually a circle, and it's a complete circle. And so I'm on the south rim of those ridges. If you go down I-65 in Alabama and you get on all those big hills, that's the south end of it. And then you've got Flintville, the Flintville Monsters, not far. You've got some places, within 15 miles of here that they've seen the white ones. I know a person that saw a white one here years ago. But what I was going to say, that Circle Ridge system, I was thinking about it one day, and I know the BFR reports are probably like 1% or less of all the you know, I understand that. So I wonder what the BFRO reports look like. And I took a map, and the counties were highlighted in yellow. And I looked at the kind of like a topo map. I looked at it and I said, "Holy shit!" It's like yellow in a circle. You know what I mean? It's like that. So the ridge system is, you know, y'all know this. You know, I say stuff sometimes that sounds like, you know, middle school or kindergarten, but you know, there might be somebody new coming in and listening. So the one thing about ridges and ridge runners and whatever, if you're walking a ridge and a threat comes from the east, you can be off the other side quickly and be away. So a lot of these, you know, predators may run ridges and hunt so they can see, they have the high ground. And if I was trying to stay hid, I would run ridges too, and that way I could get out of line of sight quick. So I think,
and you got the high ground,
and you got the high ground. So yeah, I mean,
the way it's set up here, I hunt the Warriors Path, and it actually goes down through there. It goes up into Kentucky. It splits right up through the state of Tennessee. That Warriors Path is the ancient path of warriors that dates back several thousand years. Daniel Boone come through, and he used part of it and named it the Old Kentucky Road. So yeah, when you get into those spots, to give you for an instance, so many ridges that run off of a ridge that if you're on top of that ridge and say you're a Bigfoot and you're hunting, or you're a dog man you're hunting, or you're a human being up there and you're being hunted, you can drop off of one of those ridges and go out another ridge, and by the time they figure out which way you went, you're 2 miles away just instantly.
Yep.
Because it's just a mass amount of ridges and hollers and saddle hollers, I call them.
Oh, I know. I grew up on one like that. My mom and dad's farm, if you looked at it from above, looked like a crow's foot. The 3 ridges, they lived on the middle toe at the edge.
Right.
And then you had this. And I'm telling you, I knew those woods, and I got turned around one day and couldn't figure out which hollow I was in. And I had to follow the creek out to the road and walk like 3 miles back to the house. It was crazy.
Right.
But yeah, I understand. And I know y'all have hogs and stuff up there, don't you? I know my buddy hunted hogs.
Yeah.
Somewhere in that area.
We have hogs, and the last 2 years, Tennessee Wildlife has brought out a lot of black bear out of East Tennessee, out of Gatlinburg and places, town bears, and brought them out here and turned them loose.
Is that where they came from? We have some here.
Yeah, that's where they're coming from. When they get overpopulated, they pull the young males out because the young juvenile males are more aggressive. So when they start going into downtown Gatlinburg and Pigeon Forge, they act like they ain't scared of you, but they'll get 2 or 3 foot from you, and then they'll come on you with full rage. So that's your juvenile 3-year-old. So they'll take them out, and they've been bringing them out here and releasing them. A few years ago, they released several in this area, and then back this last year and this year, they brought several. Let's say probably 200 to 300 this year alone, this spring, that they brought into this area.
So we had one. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
go ahead.
Oh, they're pushing. These young 3-year-olds is pushing each other, so they keep moving from the east, from here, going west and south, and
right here, yeah.
Yeah.
So the chief deputy lives. I can throw a rock. I can step in my backyard and throw a rock and hit something in his backyard. And we were talking the other day. Last year, his country the other day. And he told me, he said, you know, I just talked to the TWRA, and they said we have black bears here now. They said there's not a ton of them, but I said, yeah, there's one got hit on 64 between Lewisburg and Cheville. A girl hit one over there, and he said, yeah. He said he didn't say they let them loose, but they came to them and said, be prepared for more sightings, more calls, because they're here now and they're going to be here. I don't know much about bear. I guess I'm going to have to read up on bears, because
we've had 3 killed here in the city limits of COONBO off Interstate 40 in the last week.
Wow. So look, and so Bruce, I tell this people all the time. They say, "You sure you didn't see a bear?" I'm like, "I've seen bear on the way, all the way out to your where you're at and on the east. I've been in Gatlinburg, Cage Cove. I've been to Yellowstone and all that in there." I said, "I don't care what kind of bear it is." I walked up on one in Gatlinburg. He was trying to get in a dumpster, and I was going to do a little trout fishing, and wasn't paying attention, and it was a bad year for food. And there was warnings everywhere, like, be careful. And I got within just like probably 20 feet of this thing, and it was standing up, and it looked, it was rocking this dumpster. He was pretty strong. He looked over at me, and I'm like, man, I ain't got a Snickers in my pocket. I'm like, I'm gonna get it out of here. But the thing is, every time I've ever seen a bear, no matter what kind it was, it looked like a daggum bear.
Right.
And
I've been in Alaska, Canada, and places. I've seen them everywhere. Here, the Smoky Mountains. I lived in Coker Creek inside the National Cherokee Forest there for several years. Yeah, there's no comparison. People always ask you, "Well, you've probably seen a bear." No, it's not a bear.
No.
If you've been in the
How
woods as
often
long
do bears clash with Bigfoots? I'm curious about that.
they don't.
They don't. Okay.
No, a bear is more scared of a Bigfoot than a deer is of us.
Okay. That makes sense.
If you see a Bigfoot out at a distance and you see a bear on this end, as soon as that bear wins that Bigfoot, he will tear fences and trees and everything down and threaten to break his neck and swim the river before he stays with that Bigfoot.
So Bruce, what's an average mature male black bear? What would it weigh approximately?
The average mature 350 to 4. If it's going to be a town bear, it can go up to 5 easy.
Yeah,
black bear.
And you're talking about, if it runs up on a alpha male Bigfoot, then it could be 3 times the size of that bear.
Lord.
Yeah, you're looking at if you run upon an alpha male, you're looking at 1,000 to 1,200 pounds with a 4 foot thick chest. He's got an arm span that's generally about 1.5 foot below his knees.
So that's got to be 10, 11 feet tall right there.
Well, if he stood up and took a bend out of his knees, he would be that big. Yeah.
Good.
So in South Alabama, at the place I'm not going back to, only reason I saw this thing, it was like 20 yards off the road in the wood, there was shade. It was a little creek there. It was like 95 degrees, high humidity, and we took a wrong turn, and we're in the middle of nowhere with no signal. I said, I'm gonna go down here and turn around. I don't think we're on the right road, and we'll get back to town, and then I'll reroute. I'll see where we're going. And so my wife, she's looking, and she's never seen one, and she's looking. I'm like, hey, where you need to be looking is in these shady woods over. It's hot because our area, July, August, and all that, when it's really, 95 to 100 degrees, and
exactly,
humidity. They don't move around. We don't have any activity hardly. And I don't know if they're going into caves or what they're doing, or they're getting out. I don't know what they're doing. I just know that there's a lull during that hot spell. And so I said, you need to be looking over here close to this creek. And Bruce, you know how running water kind of make a breeze,
Oh yeah, it's 20 degrees cooler next to the water in the holler.
I no more got that out of my mouth, and I look over, and there's there's sunlight coming through the canopy, and it's hitting a freaking. I'm assuming it's an alpha male because I couldn't imagine anything else being bigger than this. It was hitting it on the right shoulder and the right side of the head, and this thing had sat down and turned its head away from me and pulled its arms into, and I now I'm looking at this thing, And that's what I'm talking about, the brain fog issue. Like, I didn't say, hey, Heather, there's a, Bigfoot. I just look, and went on by, got out. I was shook up. I went on down the road a piece, got out, and had to relieve myself, come back, and it was gone. But
You mean you didn't already
shoulders,
relieve yourself when you saw it?
no, almost. That's why I had to stop. But the thing is, to Bruce's point, the shoulders on this thing, Heather has a full-size Chevy Z71 4-wheel drive, and the shoulders on this thing was almost as wide as the front end of that truck.
Yes.
It was sitting on its butt, and it was right at 6 foot tall, give or take. And the I'm gonna ask Bruce, because you've had some good information. Tell me if I'm right or not. So I'm looking at this thing, and I'm looking through the hair, and the skin looks almost like a chow dog. Not quite dark, you know what I'm saying? But
got that silver's gray tint to it. Yeah.
So but here's the thing, and after I got, my wits about me and got to thinking about the situation, the muscles were massive, but they weren't cut like Arnold Schwarzenegger. This one wasn't. And I'm looking at the skin, and I can see what looks like texture of the skin through the hair, and the neck, like this picture of the dog man y'all got. It didn't look like body. It might have, the shoulder caps might have been that defined, but I think the skin was thicker, and those right behind the neck, those muscles came up and went around the ear area.
They look like sticks of firewood going up behind that ear. Big, massive muscles.
And those muscles, I think, was hiding that right ear, and because it had turned its head this way, away from the road. And I've taken all this in, and those muscles coming up the back went to the back of the head, and then there was a slight point, not a sharp point, a slight point, and the head looked offset forward. And he's talking about the 2.5 foot chest. Oh my God! When I saw this, it twisted my mind up. I knew what I was looking at. I didn't tell her. I didn't say, hey, I didn't stop the truck either. I'm like, I don't know why I didn't do this. But I'm looking when we're coming back, and she's, what are you looking for? I said, you ain't gonna believe this. I said, I saw the biggest son of a gun I've ever seen in my life. I think what happened, the road wasn't being traveled much. It was an asphalt road. Our truck's not dualed out, so it's kind of quiet. Right. And I feel like it was over there cooling off in that spot on a road that's not traveled a lot, and we just caught it out in the open. Well, it really wasn't out in the open, and if it hadn't been for the sunlight hitting it on the right shoulder, I never would have seen it. But
when you looked at that, when you were looking at that muscle in its back, the muscle starts from right below the shoulder bone, comes all the way up to the top of his head.
I didn't want to say that, but it looked like it did. It was the highest. I didn't expect that.
Is that the sagittal crest, Bruce? Is that what that's called?
They differ, so it's hard to really give it a name. But when you get into what I call the ancient Bigfoot, that's what you're going to see. You're going to see a massive, thick creature. He's going to have thinning here. He's going to have muscles the size of the back legs on a cow, upper part. He's going to have that muscle in his back. It goes straight to the top of his head.
Man, I'm glad.
So you're going to see that.
Oh my God!
You'll see that big, what I call fire stick muscles coming up off that neck all the way up, right behind that ear.
Rigno right there.
Yeah, so, and that you won't see his ears because the muscles are too big.
So that's why I didn't see the ear from that angle.
Right.
Because, well, I knew he had it. He all right. So if I'm straight on at 12 o'clock, and it's him, I'm him, and my truck is over here, I could tell the head was turned this way, and that, I think that one messed with me more than anything I've ever seen, because that is absolutely the biggest thing. And when you see what looks like humanish features,
Right.
it's unreal. And I told Heather, I said, I'm 6 foot. If I was standing there, it might have been taller than me sitting on its ass.
Yeah.
That's what was
Yeah.
scary.
Well, then when you see the ancient ones that's built like that, it's according to what their age or juvenile status on up to full grown male. They'll go anywhere from 700 to 1,400 pounds.
Good Lord.
Well,
If you see him and he's 7 foot tall, and say you're 6, and you know he's a head above of you, and if he's the ancient one where his body is so thick, he'll be 1,000 pounders at 7 foot tall.
So that's why that 7 and 7.5 footer back in the day. Now this one here, somebody said it might have been younger because it was, only thing I had to go by was the patty film because we didn't have libraries close by. We didn't have books didn't have anybody to talk to. But when I saw the patty film, I'm like, well, that looks similar, but this one looked a little more athletic, a little more thinner in the waist. And somebody said, well, maybe it's difference in a male and female, Now, I know I sound crazy, but I saw one time. And look, I don't see one every time I go somewhere. It's just it shocks me as much as it,
Yeah.
I was driving. Have you ever? There's a company in Middle Tennessee. It's called Scats, but so we would
pest
take
control.
No, we would take people to doctor's appointments, to the to the VA, stuff like that. I would pick people up, carry them to the airport, which I didn't like doing that, but I would stay down here and go to doctor's appointments and stuff, wheelchairs, walkers and stuff like that. So I was in a Ford cargo van that had bench seats and all that, and so I'm sitting up in like a captain's type chair, kind of up. And the windows were like monster windows. And so I think this is the only reason I saw this that morning. But the reason I was looking is called the Unali Land Preserve. And they were in the 80s, late 70s and 80s. They were going to finish the Columbia Dam and flood all that stuff. And we were going to have places to fish. And it got stopped for the snail darter like 2 weeks before they completed it. Anyway, so what they did, they took this land and made it a land preserve, and it might be split up, 300 acres here, 1,500 over here. It's about 12,000 total. I've gotten reports from there, and that's Fountain Creek is where we used to wade the creek and fish when I was young, so I know the area pretty well. I had to pick these two ladies up. They were going to dialysis, and they had to be over early, so I picked them up. It was dark. By the time I got halfway to Columbia and started going into Unali, the frost, it was like January. The frost was hard frost, white, and there were cedars and all this stuff. And there was this green field off the road. I don't know how many feet up off the road it is. And you had a guardrail. So I'm driving down through there and I'm turning. My right ear is not great. This old lady's talking to me. And I'm turning just a little bit, still watching the road so I can hear her. And looking up ahead, right as that opening, off down in there, I see something blacker than any black I've ever seen in my life. And at first it didn't hit me. I thought it looked like a hoodie. It looked like someone had a black hoodie on.
Right.
Then as I get closer to it, I'm like, who would be standing out here with a gray backpack on their chest? And all this is, you know how it works. I'm like, this ain't right. So I get a good look at her. As far as I know, this is the only female I've ever seen. I get a good look at her, and she's looking up at the road. And I think an 18-wheeler, if it had a passenger, the passenger might have seen this thing.
Right.
But I don't think regular cars and trucks could have, and I couldn't have seen it if the windows hadn't have been so tall. And I'm looking at this thing and I'm slowing down, and it looked like her breast area was gray, that bluish gray.
Right.
The black was so black. And of course, the contrast with the white ice on the grass and stuff was crazy. But the thought of a hunter goes through my head. There's no orange, there's no rifle, there's no boots. And she is standing there. Her left foot's at 12 o'clock and her right foot is at about 2 o'clock. And she's leaned back on her heels and she's got her arms dropped down in the weirdest, like kind of balancing with that big belly.
Mm-hmm.
And she's sitting there like the arms are pulling her shoulders down. She's got her knees bent, like you said earlier. And just watching as I went by, she slightly turned her head. And I stopped talking. I was in the middle of talking to this lady, and that just didn't happen. If it had been me in my vehicle, I'd have probably pulled a Dukes of Hazzard and probably rolled the car trying to get back around to see it. But I seriously thought about it. Is this worth getting fired over? Because that's what's going to happen if I turn around and say, "Oh, I went back to see a Bigfoot." My tail's gone.
Yeah, right.
So
did you notice if she was carrying a little one?
No.
A newborn?
No,
January and February is about the time that they start having them.
This was just after deer season. So our deer season ends like a week after the first of the year, maybe a week or two.
Yeah, that'd been in January. Yeah.
So she was so pregnant, and I'm glad I talked to you again. I didn't know that. I didn't know it, Bruce. It was almost like she knew I saw her. You know what I mean?
They're when they give birth, when they try to get away from the alpha males and the rest of the group, and they give birth, they'll generally come out into an open field. If that field has winter ryegrass and stuff growing in it, it's a little bit thicker and more cushioned. She will squat down there somewhere and have the kid. That's the reason why I was asking if you've seen an infant at her chest.
Is that possibly why she was in that stance?
Yeah, because the sun will come in and warm it up.
Yeah.
Where that frost is.
Yeah.
And she'll put herself in that stance and squat. And then she'll have that kid, and then she'll pick that kid up and hold it to her. And then she'll stay away from the rest of the clan for anywhere from 14 to 21 days before she introduces it into the clan.
And so those cedars could have been a windbreak.
Well, she probably had a nest in there. Yeah.
Oh my God, I know exactly where that's at too. But y'all, I see that's why I do this, to learn. And I don't know anything about all that, but I do know when I locked on to her and I finally, like, oh shit, this is happening, I tried to take in as many details as I could. And I thought maybe because she was so big in the belly, you could tell it was a pregnancy belly. That's what confused me, was that back straight, lean back, shoulders down. And so it's possible she could have been about to give birth, maybe.
Well, she probably, at the time you seen her, was giving birth.
That's crazy.
She was just coming out in that green field there where everything's clean. And she was slowly going to her knees. It might took her 2 or 3 hours, but she would have given birth to it.
And the thing is, a regular vehicle, even like now, I don't know if an 18-wheeler, a driver could have seen it from the other side of the road coming the other way. And see, I didn't have a point of reference for size, but 2 or 3 weeks later, I was coming back the same route, middle of the day, and I saw a man walking down the road. He looked like a normal, regular sized guy. Seeing him beside that guardrail, and the guardrails are bigger than you think they are, when you get up beside them. When I saw him in comparison to that guardrail and realized how big she was 40 yards off the road, then I was like, oh, she was a big old girl. Man, and look, I felt, y'all almost sound weird here, I felt kind of lucky, blessed to see that, because now here's another thing about this situation, hearing what you're saying. So you had that strip of cedar. The reason it was down is because the road had been built up. I just come across Fountain Creek, right? So the water, which is, I've seen Cherokee, I've seen this with my own eyes. Cherokee females with girls out on the trails walking the baby out, and they choose clean water. Right. I got lucky and walked up on a lady one day with me and my son and had an amazing conversation. The reason I stopped her, she had the grayest eyes I've ever seen. And my great grandmother back in the late 1700s, early 1800s her name was Lydia Gray Eyes. She was full blooded Cherokee, and I never had seen gray eyes like that. And I stopped her, and I was like, "Hey, what are y'all doing?" And she was telling me, and she knew I was. And I said, "Real reason I stopped you, because you got gray eyes." And my grandmother, great grandmother, way back was Lydia Gray Eyes. Man, she looked at me and smiled with her eyes and her whole face. And she said, real quietly, she said, "She's always known who you are." And man, I had full body cold chills. And when we got back to the truck, my son said, "I almost jumped in the river, Daddy," when she said, we were in Cherokee. Yeah. It was Cherokee, North Carolina, where you drop off over on the other side and they've got that little homestead place there. You can pull over, a little visitor center. They got you know exactly where that's out.
Yep.
And they got that, it's a kind of a mix between a creek and a river with that cold, clean water. Well,
they throw a little trout in there every now and then. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, me and Peyton, we're looking around. I'm like, I don't see a sign saying we can't walk down that way. He said, "Me neither." I said, "Well, I guess it's better to ask for forgiveness." And we took off. We walked way back in there and ran up on her. And I'm so glad that I ran up on her. I learned more about Cherokee history and heritage and stuff in 30, 45 minutes with her standing in the middle of the woods than I ever have.
Yeah.
But
Bruce, how many babies do they typically have? I was curious about that.
Yeah, that's a good question.
The ones that I watched on the Cumberland River generally dropped about 1 every 10 to 11 months. And instead of the 9 months like a human, 10 to 11 months, because the child needs to be a little bit bigger than a human child to be able to survive. They will go probably 15 to 18 before they cycle out and can't have any more kids.
So would that put breeding season? Did it have a breeding season?
Yeah, that's good.
Yes.
Would it be around March, April?
Yes. What you do is like right now when you're out in the woods, sometimes you'll run into one that's coming in a male testosterone that's coming in late, and he'll have a skunk smell to him. If you ever smell a Bigfoot that smells like a skunk, that's his testosterone, and the females come into heat. So you run into that more of the spring. And the reason why she gets away from the male is because if the male kills the baby, she'll come back into heat.
Kind of like a rabbit.
Yeah.
Well,
so you're telling me them skunks I've smelled up there at 3 a.m. probably ain't skunks, is what you're telling me.
No, they're Bigfoot breeding. Yeah, Sasquatch breeding.
Okay.
Harry, so the Cherokee, the hairy man.
Makes sense.
So Bruce, I'm sorry, I've got questions.
No, go for it, man.
So down in Bankhead National Forest, my buddy Greg he has to deal with them a lot because he backs up to the national forest along the river, and we're lucky enough to get to go and do a few things and look. And the only rules is we can't whoop and holler and kick stuff and beat trees. He don't want to make them mad because
Right.
which I understand. So we found tracks along the sandy. We go in the wintertime when the water's down. It's really a good place to find tracks. And there might be spots where the water's only like 3-4 feet across and it's running, but it's, maybe, 5 to 10 inches deep in a spot. Right. And that pool in there. Well, anyway, so here's what I want to ask you. The last time we were there looking, we know there's a mama and a little one because we found tracks the year before. And the tracks of the little one didn't come out of the woods. That it was like it was set down. They just appeared right next to the other tracks. And it was a level pressure. It mashed down into the material. And then it walked over to the side of the river, real short distance, and it put its right foot on a rock for traction because that stuff is it'll give way like sand.
Mhm.
I'm assuming it put it for traction because I was doing the same thing. But then this foot was, they were kind of out like that at angles. Well, so we know there's possibly a mama and a little one there, and he's had something get on the roof. It's possibly the little one, and ran across the roof about 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning and stopped right. He was sitting in a recliner watching TV, and it stopped right over him, and then ran over to a pine tree that's just a foot or two off the side of the house and slid down it. But anyway, so we kind of know they're there. Here's what I want to get to. We went down there. I had a pistol and my son had a shotgun, and we're not going to hurt these things.
Right.
And I try to make that known, but there's things that try to bite folks in the woods that ain't got nothing to do with them things. So we're sitting there, the wind's coming. If I'm looking down or up the river, the wind's about 10, 11 o'clock cutting across. We don't find any tracks. The other bank is real thick up on the bank there. And all of a sudden, now we've been there 20 or 30 minutes. All of a sudden we got hit with the only way I can describe it. It was a funky smell. And you know what rubber smells like right before it catches fire? It's really, really hot, but it hadn't caught on fire yet. It's got another smell when it's on fire. Yeah. That hit us, and we looked at each other. We're like, where'd that come from? I said, it's coming from that bank right over there. And first thing we started doing, we looked at the water to make sure there wasn't any funky leaves decaying. Said, no, man, this stuff's clear. This is good water. There's nothing I can see. I said, but it's coming from that bank. It's coming. I don't know what it is. So it hit us again and again. And I'm like, Peyton, I've heard these things have a stress release like a gorilla sometimes. And let's back off. So we backed off, went on down to our entrance where we come in. And all of a sudden we heard what sounded like a mixture between a goose and a chihuahua. And it was a raspy, weird cadence. It wasn't big. We're looking up the river, trying to see what it is. I'm looking for a bird. Peyton's looking for a dog. We're like, and he's my sound guy. He since he was in 3rd and 4th, 5th grade, he loves animals. He loves everything about animals. He was the go-to guy for his teachers. Like if some obscure animal in Australia, Peyton knew what it was. So he looked at me. He said, I don't know what that is. I said, I don't either. It sounds like a mixture of 2 or 3 things. He said, yeah, well, now we could still smell this coming down to us. And once it got to the other side to where the smell was coming from, almost immediately the smell, it's still on the wind, right, and it just kind of faded out. Yeah. And so I called COONBO on the way home. He lives down there, and he's been doing this for like 50 years. I said, hey, man, I said, we just had this happen. And he was like, well, it could be this. He said he worked at a zoo as a teenager. He said, he said, what did it smell like? And I told him, he said, that's probably what it was, Roger. He said, they have those glands, possibly have those glands like a gorilla does. And you get in the stress. I said, well, we did have guns with us, and Peyton had that shotgun. He said, well, that's probably what it was. Now, can't say that's what it was, but the whole, if you have 10 things happen and 9 of them are super weird, I mean, what can it be? We're talking about it on the way home. I said, that's the craziest shit ever.
Yeah, we can't deal in absolutes with this. There's only majority,
exactly.
Right.
Generally, when you get that tar smell, though, it's similar to a tar burning smell.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
They've got a gland on the inside of their thigh. They'll pee on it.
Okay.
It only lasts a few minutes. It'll disappear. So it'll go pretty quick.
So that's why it was because I checked the wind right quick, which I kind of knew which way it's coming. I checked the wind real fast, and I want to know exactly which direction it's coming from. And you're right. It hit us and stayed for a little bit, went away. Then it would hit us again. And good God.
That's what it was. Now the female where you were talking about her setting down the little one.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I watched one up in Pickett County in Warriors Path the year before last. She was hiding hers like a deer hides its spawn. So she'd take it out and hide it. It wouldn't move. And then she would come up the creek to where I was at and she'd stay around there, but the little one stayed down next to the lake, out in the open, like a deer hides a pond, and it wouldn't move. So,
Wow.
so
And look,
I always wondered, did the deer, did the bears and stuff learn after them, because they all act pretty close to being the same.
yeah. Well, I mean, you got to look at this too. The environment, survival. You know, how many times I got slapped in the back of the head a bunch of times because my mama told me not to move, and I did back when I was little. So
Right.
and a deer will lay there,
Yeah.
a fawn will lay there and let a bush hog run over them. I mean,
Yeah, I mean,
you know,
we've accidentally bailed them up in hay bales.
Yeah.
They won't move.
Killed a couple cut in half.
Yep.
And then I was on a ridge, and then I heard the same story probably 6 months, 8 months later from a couple out of the LBL on Michelle DeRoche's show with Daryl and Ron. And just a few months before that, I was on the checking out some cave sites where I'd followed some Bigfoot tracks too, and same situation. I watched over on into another holler halfway down the ridge around a big rock face. A pack of coyotes went after a young, more than likely an infant Bigfoot. He looked to be about 35 or 40 pounds. But the mother come in and just ripped them apart and threw them down the hill. And then she was just like, it was like a quick, sharp chatter at them. And then it's like she put them back down for a nap and just like scolded them, and then she left.
Have you ever found, let's say, a deer, or coyote, and it looks like it had been cut and cut through the diaphragm, and the organs taken out?
Yeah, that's your high protein part. That's generally I've seen it more with a dog man.
Mm-hmm.
A dog man will do that. Just take the organs. Generally, they'll cut. What reason why they cut the diaphragm? The first thing is if you run into a pack of say 14 coyotes in one pack, you never make a kill shot on the first one. You gut shoot him, get him to screaming. The rest of the pack will turn on him, eating him up, and you can just sit there and pick them all off him because they won't run. So that's the reason why, they'll take that throat.
So we found, of course, I got into this and didn't know a whole lot, been learning and whatever, and started getting calls, like locally. I've got so many. I got to go 2 miles from here some Saturday. I'll tell you about that later. I want to look at this place, and it's incredible, but it's a little too close to home. But I've had reports 5 miles from here and all up this one road, and actually the one that was on all fours with the guy that told me he'd bury me was not far from here. But it's a different time now where people, and especially if they trust you, like, hey, I appreciate it, because it just gives me mental pins on the map and these ridges to say, well, that could have been this time period, could have been the same one I saw. It could be. We had a guy. He was a frogman in Vietnam, and he left there. He did a little mercenary work because I hunted with him, so he told me stories he wouldn't tell, out in public. And he taught me a lot of stuff, or tried to. And so he was a very matter-of-fact guy. He ended up being a Metro Nashville cop for several years. He retired from that, and he moved back down here. And he was the type of guy that make his own bows out of bow dart, trees and arrows, and he would wear moccasins in. He just wanted the challenge because he could take out a deer easy, So he made it a challenge. And he come in one day, and now these ridges where I saw mine is on the east side of I-65, And just across the other side, this ridge runs north and south. On the west side, that's where he hunted.
Mhm.
And he come in one day years ago. He's gone now, but he back when you could smoke in stores. He
Right.
waited. Everybody kind of left. He smoking on his cigarette. And he had this look on his face. I'm like, Max, you all right? He said, I got to ask you something. I got to tell you something. I got to ask you something. He said, you've hunted here since you were little, right? Over on that side. I'm like, yeah. He said, let me tell you what happened to me, and I'm going to see what what you think about it. So he would make his own blinds out of, sticks, tie them together and make him an entrance and all that. And everything he did was like primitive, and with the bow, he just loved doing that. And he would get there. He said he got there about 3 a.m, about halfway up the ridge. Went in, it was dark. He walked in the dark, got in, had a backpack on, small backpack. He said, Roger, I was sitting there. I heard something walk up behind the blind. It reached in through the sticks, grabbed my backpack. He was about 220, no fat, maybe a little bit of gut, not much. Grabbed that backpack. He said, it pulled me all the way back that blind, and it had whatever it was had me, and I couldn't do anything about it. He was grabbing his knife, and he said, it let me go and basically ran off. He said, it was big. He said, you have any idea what could have caused that? And I said, oh my God, Max, I don't talk about this much, but 10 years ago, over on the other side of the interstate where I hunt, I thought he was fixing to laugh at me. I said, I looked him right in the eyes. I said, I saw a Bigfoot. I saw him for about, I saw it come out, looked at me, walked up the hill. I said, dude, these things are real and they're in this area. That's the only one I've ever seen. But I've heard screams after that. Didn't know what it was at the time. And he looked at me over that cigarette like, it wasn't like you're crazy. It was like, oh shit. It was that type of, now when you scare a frog, man,
Yep.
I talked to the guys that hunted over there on the next farm over, and they said, after that, he would show up all times of the year with his deer rifle, and we'd see him setting up here or over here in that little red truck, and he would be in the woods and have his deer rifle with him. I said, you think he was hunting it? He said, I think he was. He said, he told us what happened, and they had a deer stolen around the same time, and the guy, he's passed away too. He was a younger guy, but Tony said when he come around the edge, he said, Dave, did you see your deer? He said, no, man, let's go. He looked white as a ghost. He said, well, we got to find that deer. He said, I found that deer. Let's go. He said, he said on the way out, yeah, Dave, he said, Dave bent over and started throwing up. He said, man, are you all right? I'm just feeling a little sick. And he's like, what is wrong with you? We got to go. So he said, they're walking out through there, and he could hear something kind of tailing them a little bit. And he's like looking around. He said, Roger, right before I stepped out into the field, I took one more look back, and he said, I saw something big and brown, but I couldn't see what it was. It was like kind of behind a tree. I said, was it this color brown or whatever? And he said, yeah, it's similar. I'm like, you might have seen the same one I did. And listen to this, y'all. So you know how like dumb people like me, it takes 25 years to realize something. I always wondered how in the hell it got across I-65 North and I-65 South without being seen. I'm like, we've seen them on both sides. What are they doing?
Cloaking.
It hit me. It hit me driving down the road. I'm like, I can't believe I didn't think about that. When the old man, when they bought the land from him to start building the interstate in, I think the 60s, they split his farm in half at the time. And he ended up selling the west side, but he still had a lot of land on the other side. One of the deals was he had a big milk farm. One of the deals was, I'll only do it if you'll put away from my cows to get from those fields over there under the interstate over here. They put 2 of those. I've seen them before. I would say 10 foot. I mean, probably, I don't know, just guessing. And I could drive a Volkswagen through them. They're wide enough. I probably could drive 2. And it hit me all of a sudden, just out of the blue, like way too late, that maybe that's how they were getting over there, crossing back and forth.
Yeah.
Because there's nowhere except for a very few, back in the day it was gravel roads and then a bridge across interstate on, there's a between here and Alabama, there's maybe 3 of those, maybe 4, maybe forgetting some, but only up this way, you have to go kind of a few miles down south before you get, I know it's called Simmons Ridge Road. It used to be Persimmons Ridge and people couldn't pronounce it. But
that's
yeah.
I live on Persimmon Street.
Yeah.
What is that?
Yeah.
Persimmon?
Yeah, go give them a green one, let them eat it, and they'll remember what it is.
They'll remember that. Yeah.
A couple of eggs.
I haven't had any face to face. Thank goodness. Face to face, like real close encounters or experiences. But there's something that I wanted to add to that, the smell story, the creek bank. It's actually called a river. It's not that big. When we were there and found the little tracks, it looked like the mama had laid down on her side at one point, and we could see the impression. I took pictures of it, but I was looking at it, and it was hard to kind of make out what we should have done. I wish we had the LiDAR at the time. And my son's got it on his phone now, so he can map out, a track or whatever now, which is cool as everything. But what I did get a picture of, you got the tracks near it. You got where the little one went down and looked at the water, and you got the big tracks coming out of the woods, and it looks like it lays on its side, kind of. It lays over to the left. I noticed there was 3 fingertip. That little one had reached there when its mama got up, I'm assuming, and raked its fingers across that soft dirt, and they were about yay long. And what was wild was, you see how my fingers, the middle one's longer?
Mm-hmm.
They almost look the same length. Because if I'd have put mine down, I would have seen that this finger would have started here. These 2 would have started here. Yeah. This middle finger was almost the same. I'd have to look at them again, but that's what stood out to me. I'm like, I don't know if little kids have the same thing, and some people have different. But anyway, I was trying to rule out it being, but nobody goes down there. I mean, it's just private. And it was a good experience. I mean, I dropped some S-bombs when I pulled the first track I found was one of the little ones, and the leaves had been blowing, and it's some kind of smaller, like hackberry type. I don't know if it's, but it's kind of that smaller leaf. So the wind had blew it in there, and I started picking it out. I said, "Wait a minute, is that what I think it is?" So we get down there, and I start pulling them out one at a time. And when I pulled these others up at the top, I didn't know which was top and bottom at the time. When I saw those toes, I had my camera running, and I flipped the hell out. And I forgot about it, posted on YouTube, and somebody from church called Heather. Said, "Did you cuss on that video?" Yeah, did you cuss on that video? I said, "No." She said, "That ain't what she said." I looked at it, and I'm like, "Oh, damn, I let it rip." You got to be kidding me. But anyway.
It's almost so normal anymore, It's just, you're talking to somebody at church or something like that, and they just kind of look at you like, "Oh, yeah." a little too easy to get.
Well, what's funny is I have just a small amount of people from church that added me on Facebook after they found out what I was doing, but they never say anything. But I know the areas they live in. You know what I mean? How many times, y'all, you driving down the road you ain't never been on before, and you see a 7-foot tall Bigfoot cutout just randomly in a holler, and you're like, "Boy, I'd love to pull in there, but I know I'll probably hear that shotgun rack. I don't know who they are."
Right.
But there's got to be some kind of story behind that. Why do they have that there?
Around here, when they have those big like plywood cutouts on the garage and stuff, those are usually the people that are either enthusiasts or they've had experiences.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, or counters.
That's kind of like a marker. Like if you go there, you pull up to their driveway, they're gonna blab to you for 3 hours about big.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
If you knock on the door, so it's kind of like a universal symbol for I'm a believer, I'm a knower, I'm an experiencer,
Exactly.
that sort of thing.
I've got one on my privacy fence, and I didn't buy it. I was hanging out with a buddy in Lincoln County, and he knows what I do. We actually was doing a video where they had experienced something, and he was a non-believer. He said, Roger, I didn't believe this crap. I respected what you did, but him and another guy had something happen, and we videoed that. Me and my son went down and interviewed them. But he said, hey, I got a buddy who has a metal shop. He's got one of them cutouts. He's listening, and it's sitting there. It's got dust all up, rust and dust. Yeah, I said, well, let's go see if he'll sell it to me. He said, dude, you want that thing? Yeah, I like that. Laser cutout.
Well, this is actually from our sponsor.
Oh, okay.
Makes these. So you've got, wall mounts.
What is that? I've seen
This
that
one
before.
was,
That's a Jersey Devil, isn't it?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
And then you got
Mothman.
You have to turn it around. Is it backwards? No.
Oh, yeah. Oh, you're right.
Showing his butt crack.
Yeah. But he sent me like $1,000.
You got a Bigfoot one, Daniel?
What's that?
You have a big one?
I got the Bigfoot one that's it goes on the
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
shelf.
Mine
makes
is
these
it's similar to that shape.
more. Yeah.
Wow. It's got the guy gave it to me. He said, what do you want it for? I'm like, I kind of have a Bigfoot show. He's, oh, cool. He said, you can have it. And I'm like, really? He said, yeah, I would, sand it down and paint it or whatever. Oh man, I'll just paint it. And, but the thing is, it looks like it's got a can of beer in its hand. So one of my neighbors, I'm on a dead end street. Yep. But I'm on a dead end street, and my son painted it like a matte black. And then we drilled holes in it and then put it on the wood fence. And her and her daughter was walking around down the street one day, and I was out there letting the dog, use the bathroom, whatever. And she said, hey, I was wondering what that was on your fence for. And then I found you on Facebook. I'm like, oh crap.
That answers all the questions right
yeah.
Yeah.
That's so interesting. I've watched your show. That is so cool. I'm like, okay, thank you. And I'm like, but you know what though, y'all? You reach a point, you go through, people are so lucky now. If they have an encounter, they can talk about it. They got people they can call. I didn't have that. I don't want to say they're lucky. When you say, well, it terrified them, gave them PTSD. Oh, you're lucky. You have people to talk to.
Yeah.
It's like,
Well, I have somebody that's on the one of the Facebook groups, the Cryptid Wrangler, and she does PTSD counseling for us. So if somebody's got that and needs something, someone to talk to that isn't going to go, shut up.
Yep. I know a guy that had something happen to him, and he worked for an equivalent of a 3-letter agency, but in another country. And it messed him up so bad, he went to counseling, went to doctors. They didn't help. So you know what he did? He started searching. He started searching on the internet, YouTube. He watched a lot of my interviews that I'd done, not asking people questions, but telling some. And there's a lot of stuff I hadn't got into, but there was things that happened to him that happened to me. And then he started finding people, and he was so fast in what he was doing. He, of course, he had probably the best computers available to him. He said he went in and started putting search words and looking for in the where it what's it called when you can go and search the conversation and the words, what is that called?
Like
Transcript. transcript.
Transcript.
So somehow he went in and put search words, and then it found these transcripts on these shows, and I popped up, and this other guy popped up, and somebody else popped up. Then when he found us, he found Greg, and he found other. Well, we've talked to him. He said, y'all, I have some of the supposed best doctors at my disposal. I have all this, and he said, I was in a bad way. He said, I'm not going to tell you how bad I was. He said, but you guys saved my life. I said, how's that? He said, I was at my wit's end. The doctors couldn't help me. I thought I was going crazy. And then when I found y'all, and then I found this person and this person and this person, and y'all are telling your stories. And I'm going to tell you something. This was a hell of a compliment. It was Greg and I, we were having a thing one night. Misty was on, and this guy came on. And he said, I've been trained. There's like 56 or 58 points. He said, I've been trained to interview people and pick out, you know, like police officers. You know, I was in interrogation rooms and all that. I was being taught things as a youngster. Plus you have natural, but he's talking about like 56 points that he's been trained by the government to spot a liar. He said, you know what scared me the most? And I think Misty said, what? He said, I watched everything Roger and Greg ever did. He said, what scared me the most is them sons of bitches ain't lying. They're telling the truth. And he said,
Exactly.
so, and I'm sitting there thinking, I wanted to go, wow. You know what I mean? Like, and this guy's sitting there saying that. I called Greg the next day. I said, what about that shit? He said, man, I've been trying to tell, we try to tell people and they don't believe you. You know, I'm not trying to, we talked about this earlier. I'm not trying to make money. I'm not trying to sell a book. I don't have a problem with people that do, but I'm here to learn. I learned so much tonight from Bruce.
Thank you.
Stuff that I've had happen to me. Not after he said it, but you know, kind of together. You know what I'm saying? It's like, this is what happened. And man, I appreciate that, because that's what I'm here for. And you know, just to understand what possibly was going on makes it even more special, you know?
Right.
So,
And it's not just you, it's matching stories and is what makes it actually come to life in your mind, you know?
Yeah, it's comfort. It's really comforting, you know, because I wondered why she would be in the open like that, but she really wasn't the one that was pregnant. She was and she wasn't. I just saw her because I was in a vehicle that was built funny.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So yeah.
She had to get to a clean area, and that green field was a clean area, and there's a water source nearby. So, you know, pregnancy like that, I'm sure she was in a lot of pain. She probably really didn't care who seen her. You know, if you come out into that spot to where she had plenty of room to work, you know.
Well, you've seen deer,
child.
Bruce, and y'all that hunt. I've seen deer have emergencies and run across a road squatting. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And like, what the hell's wrong with her? Run across this field 200 yards long and in the weirdest run you've ever seen. I'm like, is she trying to take a crap and get over to as close as she can to cover in the hay and sit down and just start having a baby? I'm like, whoa, that was, and she run right in front of my truck, right across the road, didn't care. And she was in a hurry to get somewhere to have that thing, you know, safely and cleanly. But, you know, and when it all comes down to it, I'll leave y'all with this. I got to get in here and pay attention to my wife a little bit, but it all comes down to this. We don't know everything. Some people know more than others, and we share with each other. We learn things from each other. And the thing is, I can buy a book and I can hand it to somebody that's never deer hunted. And I said, read that book. You'll learn how to deer hunt. You'll learn habits of deers, whatever. It's not going to tell you everything, because they're a living being. They react different to pressures. They react different to, you know, different things. And, you know, I've had deer almost kick my head off trying to get away from something else. I'm sitting on a persimmon tree with a bow, and it was one of those, looked like like the Native Americans had bent, you know, and that was a perfect seat. And me shooting my bow the way I do, I was sitting there, and I don't know if it was a damn squirrel or a chipmunk or what it was scared this doe, and she about kicked my head off. So, but anyway, what I'm saying is, there's no, I only know I only know for a fact what's happened to me. Larry's heard me say this before. I know what I've had happen to me. I know what I've seen. I know what I've heard. I know what I've smelled. Now, I trust people to tell me what they know and trust them as friends. But the thing is, I don't. If I see something, whether it's deer or a squirrel or whatever or Bigfoot, I don't say, "Oh, that's what they do in the Pacific Northwest." I don't know that. You know what I'm saying? I don't.
Every Bigfoot is his own personality, is his own unique circumstances. So yeah, there's no two the same, and no two will act the same. They will come into what I call a configuration, to where we can assume this and that, or see one like it. The female you seen, you know, was obviously pregnant. She had her baby there in that field. But again, that was unique to that situation.
Yeah. Well, and but talking to you, you know, what you've seen before, and that helps me. Now, you know, somebody could see one climb a tree and have one in a cedar tree, but that don't mean every one of them are
Exactly.
doing it. Just something
Right.
happened that you know it caused that. You see what I'm getting at? There's no hard answers, but it's good to get some information out there. Like, so next time I'm riding through there on a January morning or February morning, and it's frosty, I'm gonna slow down.
Yeah.
Well,
Well, and that's
Probably
why.
never happen again.
Yeah, that's
well,
why I've
here's
asked
Just like
another
you
thing.
said.
Yeah. Go ahead.
They
Bruce.
tend to go back to where they have their babies and do it to the same place.
That's what I was thinking when you said that. I was like, oh, I might
And
have
if their
area.
babies, females, the baby they have females gets old enough to breed, she'll go back to that place and have her baby.
That's good information to have, Bruce. I think
Yeah,
you.
I mean, Bruce has been through almost every scenario that we've thrown at him, and has the answers. You know, whether it's religion or weird things that have happened. He is the most knowledgeable person I have ever met, and that's why
Well,
I'm so happy to have him here with
Well, I
us.
appreciate that, but I've been doing it for
Yeah.
ooh, if I sell it, it'll tell my age, 56 years.
so
Yes.
before I go on, ask you this, Bruce.
hmm
How hard was it to come out and start talking about it? No, with your job you had.
Uh, to the public and like podcasting and stuff, there's no way. There's no way. We dealt with them in law enforcement. They got hit the road, stuff like that. We had
Mhm.
protocols to go through. We still have to do our accident incident reports and stuff, even though the feds or the military, whichever
Barry.
classification you got, that's who would show up. But it's
Mhm.
not something that you'd want to come out and talk about, because even knowers, people that seen them, would attack you. You know,
They're
and then
afraid.
people,
People are afraid. They
yeah.
attack you for it. You
Yep.
know?
You're
It
exactly right.
it took me 55 years to come out and talk about it.
Mm.
Up to now, I talked about it with the elderly people in the community that knew too.
Yeah.
But as far as coming out publicly and talking about it, no.
Yeah. It's
But
I'll say this. A lot of times in chat, you'll have people that are there, but they can't say anything
right,
because of their jobs. We had, for a long while, we had a sitting judge in another state that had a fake name, and he recently retired. And now we get to like have like kind of like Zoom calls on Messenger
right,
or whatever. And he was former like military and been all over the world and all. And but the reason he couldn't say anything at that time, he was a sitting judge. So you know what would that look
exactly.
like? I talked to one that's a judge at the meet and greet in LBL. I didn't know who he was, and when he said his name, I'm like, "Oh, so you're so and so," because they go by screen names. I said, "What do you do for a living?" He said, "I'm a judge." I'm like, "No shit."
Right.
He said, "Yeah." I can't say anything. Then I had a guy, the first meet and greet 3 years ago, I think, at the LBL that I was at. So I'm standing there talking to Greg, and everybody's cool and everything, but body language tells a story, right? So
Right.
I'm sitting there and I see somebody moving up to my left at about 9 o'clock, and I kind of glance over, and this guy's moving weird, and the first thing I do is look for a knife in his right hand or whatever, and I looked up at him and I spoke to him. He's far enough away. I said, "How you doing?" He said, "Good." He said, "You're Roger, aren't you?" I'm like, "Well, yeah. What's your name?" He told me. He said, "You're Greg," and the thing was, he knew where everybody lived. He knew their names. Hell, I think he knew my pet chicken name when I was 7. And so, and I'm
Yeah.
like, I said, "What do you do for a living?" He said, "I work for the government out in Utah." I'm like,
Yeah.
"Oh, okay." I said, "Are you in? You watch
Skinwalker
this?"
Ranch.
I said, "You watch the shows?" He said, "Yeah." He said, "But I can't say anything." He said, "But when I retire in about 3 or 4 years, I need to talk to y'all." I'm like, "Okay." So I found out later. He sent me an email. What he did, he tested water, and like where places people know they don't go, like maybe a lake somewhere, a stream or a pond or whatever, they would hike in for miles and go. He was a what do you call it, environmental scientist type guy, whatever. And he said, "I can't tell you why I want to talk to you, but I definitely want to talk to y'all." I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
So I hadn't heard from him yet. It's getting close to time. Uh, this fun tidbit about me. I felt drawn to Skinwalker Ranch. I'm in southern middle Tennessee. I talked to my wife, and we loaded up the truck. We drove from Cornersville, Tennessee, to the front gate of Skinwalker,
Yeah.
and there's something about that place, y'all. I can't explain it.
It's not
But
just that place though. It's
mm,
throughout the country, but
oh
a
yeah,
lot of people have the ranch and they just think that's what comes with it. In
yep.
fact, we're gonna have Thomas Winterton on here
Oh,
soon, hopefully.
cool.
Yeah, Thomas Winterton and Dragon. Um, and I asked Caleb too, but I don't know that he got. But I met those guys at CryptidCon last year, and
Oh man,
just incredible people to talk to.
be
And
be sure somebody send me a link to that, and I want to be in
oh,
chat and
definitely,
ask them questions because
yeah,
uh,
yeah,
that yeah, I can say yeah. The security, I say yeah. I was the idiot in the Black Colorado from Tennessee that pulled up, took a few pictures. uh,
yep.
but anybody that goes out there, be careful because the road about a quarter mile from the gate, you're riding along on like a tar and chip road. And the way the colors are out there, I didn't notice it till the last minute. That damn road dropped off about 5 or 6 inches to the gravel, and you can hear me on the video go, "Oh shit, boo!" but if you think about it, that could keep somebody from building up speed and trying to crash the gate too.
Yeah.
So,
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
so
That's
anyway,
probably the idea, I would think.
yeah, it kept me.
Yeah.
I about had to walk home after that crap.
Take out the front axle.
Y'all,
Yeah.
I gotta run. Thank y'all so much.
No
All right.
problem.
Well,
Hey,
thank
and we'll
you.
have on
Thank you,
again.
man. I
Yeah.
appreciate it.
Nice to have you,
Y'all-
Roger.
Oh, thank you,
Thanks,
Larry.
man.
I appreciate it. I
Hey.
see you in chat all the time. I appreciate all that. You just don't know. When I first started doing it and guests started saying yes, I'm like, why they won't talk to me? Then I'd get to talking to people, and then people would come in the chat, and you get to know them. You see their name. You might be familiar with it, but you hadn't met them yet, and you'll meet. Hey, I'm old Fred 123. I'm like, oh no crap. Oh hey, nice to meet you.
Yeah.
It's so
It's
awesome.
weird though, right? Isn't
Yeah, it
weird?
is.
It's
The
kinda
weirdest
like
thing.
yeah, and you. But if they show up and listen, then
Well,
they can go, oh, okay, now I can, that's
the
not a Bigfoot or a dog man. But what I did see, and
Mhm.
what you had said matches with Bruce and Bruce Scott and Larry. That's where you learn, and then you learn to be where it's scary enough. And I have people come up to me all the time, Facebook and whatnot. I have people that have messaged me questions from Brazil, Ukraine, Australia, Norway
Mhm.
was the other day. So it's become more prevalent, and it's really cool that we're at the top of the game that people want to come up and ask us, hey, did they do this? So
Yep.
it's
And then you can share, like, hey, you know a little bit about the Yowie. What's the simple? We talk to River Morris all the time from, and River's cool as the other side of the pillow. I love him. But so, oh, she's in here, Catherine. You just showed up. I'm gonna tell a story about Catherine. So the first time I ever got freaked out, we go to Kentucky, and we've got our dog Honey with us. And I'm pretty sure it was Catherine and her husband. We didn't know them at the time. And we're sitting there at our little tent, our little 10 by 10. And I believe it was her that walked by and looked over and said, "Hey, Honey," and waved at my dog and kept walking. And Heather looked at me and said, how did they know? Now, correct me if I'm wrong, Catherine. It might have been you. She said, "How did they know her name?" I'm like, "Well, she has been in a few videos when we're out in the woods." So maybe. There's Pamela. Hey, Pamela.
Yeah, there she is.
Michigan Sandman, John Port.
Yeah, you got a bunch of people in here. And I just saw your message about shooting you the link.
No, I found it.
Oh, you did? Cool. All right.
Yeah, I put it in. I think I put it in Woodwalkers. So that's probably where some of these found it. Larry, thank you. I saw your comment earlier. Appreciate that. Well, I'm not too sure. I mean, I don't know, but no, that was funny. Yeah. That was like, wait a minute. How do you know the dog's name?
Man, that's nice meeting you. Nice to talk to you.
Yes, sir. Yeah. Big fan. I appreciate it.
Thank you. I'll look. I'll be watching y'all now. I mean, and Bruce, is it okay? Is it okay if I contact you sometime through Messenger or whatever? I just added you on Facebook.
Yeah, that's fine. Anytime you want to, just give me a holler.
All right, appreciate you, y'all.
Perfect.
Have a good night, y'all.
All righty.
You too, sir.
Good weekend, Roger.
Give us your show dates, times.
So we started out. There's Squatchin Holler with this logo here. That was the original channel, and then somehow Doug Highcheck watched it and wanted us to join him. And so it's Untold Radio Network if you want to go subscribe on YouTube. Yeah. And then they have several shows. We're on Thursday nights at 7 live, so Central Time. So, and there's, I think we're up to, we just did episode 46. And I think I probably have maybe 40 or so on the other one, and a bunch of goofy videos. We like to have fun. So,
so is that one yours? The Untold Radio? Is that
what happens is, so the original channel is mine. The show is mine, but we just signed up with Doug, and then he provides us certain things, intros, outros. Then he has a guest list. I could ask him if I needed somebody. I don't normally do that because they do their show on Sunday nights, and they do it a little different. He puts a lot more production time into his, because that's what he does. He's a producer, so he's always cool. And so we're part of the Untold Radio Network. If you go to like Spotify, you can search Squatchin Holler, because I didn't have the old show on there, so it'll pop right up. So, and we just, it's kind of a, I don't know. I don't even know what to call it. It's kind of a partnership deal.
Yeah. So. It's funny because I wasn't sure whose it was, but they asked me to speak on that, and I was kind of like, "Who is this?"
Oh, so man, yeah. Oh, Doug. If they're calling you, he's the one that did Monster Quest and all that. Yeah. Yeah. So he's done When Legend Meets Science. He's a camera designer, inventor. Finding Bigfoot, he designed those harnesses for the cameras for them. And Matt Moneymaker, before he's on Finding Bigfoot, actually worked for Doug.
Oh, really?
And, yeah, he's got man. We do music together. I write songs and he does the music. And he's got a record label He started.
Yes.
It's a White Wolf Entertainment Records, and he's always produced music, but now he's wanting to do it a different way. So I'll either write a song and send it to him, and then he'll approve it, or sometimes it needs help. And I we've become good friends, so I mess with him sometimes. I put a bullshit word in there or whatever to mess with him, and he's like, "Hey, what's this mean?" I'm like, I just wanted you to call me. I knew you. I didn't not like, "Hey, call me."
Yeah.
He's gonna call me immediately. What does this mean? I'm like,
Yeah.
I said,
Yeah.
that was
no,
a. Go ahead.
Doug
Sorry.
is a good guy, man. He was
Yeah.
actually one of the first 600 people that joined the Cryptid Wrangler Facebook group too. Adam Davies, and these first 600 guys were just
Yep.
the main people that are here now, and so it's weird to be associated like that, I guess is how to say. But
Well,
he's good. He's a good guy. And him and his son, right?
Well, yeah, Alex. He's got two. Alex is one we deal with a lot because Doug's got several businesses, and he retired, sold it to his son, them to his sons, and so he's doing things he wants to do now. And the beat, it's like we'll be talking, and I'm like, man, I've got to get the studio cleaned up. So what's you got going on? Oh, the BBC network's coming over to interview me for a movie. I'm like, what? like,
Yeah,
like
exactly.
yeah.
It's like the Russian president coming over and speaking
Yeah.
to him. It's like,
Yeah,
what?
Yeah,
You
get the
got him
good
on
beer mugs
dial-up.
out. Yeah, get the good beer mugs out. And
Hey, Pamela.
but he's humble. He's a good guy. He cares about people. He cares about the truth. That's why he
Yeah.
does what he does. So and I told him, I'll go ahead and tell this. The first phone call, it lasted about 3 hours.
Yeah.
And I was testing him a little bit, see if I could pick with him. And I had him laughing and snorting and carrying. I'm like, well, I might work with this guy. So, of course, he'll get me back. Oh, he'll come off the top rope.
Sure.
I mean, but that's what I like. And he said, well, what do you think? And I said, I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm always gonna be honest with you, but I'm gonna tell you this. Before this phone call happened, I wasn't very excited, but getting to know you and how you think and how all that stuff. I said, I think we can make this work. We can do something. Because basically he gives me he doesn't tell us what to talk about. He doesn't tell us who to have on or who not to have on. I guess as long as nobody's complaining.
Yeah.
I've had that happen a couple of times. I mean, I ain't gonna lie to you. I've had it had some couple situations that popped up we had to handle pretty quick, but we were in the right. But you don't. I learned a long time ago at our store in the business with my parents. If you have one bad customer come in, they can run off a whole, half the community, because they don't be around stuff. And unfortunately, on the internet, you have people that they don't have anything better to do, so they like to come in, call people liars. And if somebody wants to have a sit down discussion, that's a different. I'll ask me questions. I'm the first person to tell you I don't know.
Yeah.
But I know it. I know a guy or gal might can help us, but I don't know that.
Yeah. And that's how I am too. People ask me a question, I don't have the answer. I know who to go to and say, hey, this person is asking this. What's your thoughts on it? So, and that's what's great about knowing so many people in this community.
Yeah.
It's just one of those things.
It feels good to point somebody in the right direction. I got a phone call one time, say, hey, I got a problem. I said, well, okay, what's going on? I just talked to a preacher. Now, this was in the Southeast. It wasn't in Alabama. He's from Alabama. I just talked to a preacher, and I guess they saw a Bigfoot sign or something, got to talking to him, said, I need some help. I've got these things around my property. I don't know what to think about it because, being a Christian, being a preacher and all this stuff, I didn't know anything like this existed. Where do you live? Well, I live in South Alabama. Hold on, let me call somebody. Roger, you know anybody South Alabama that can help this guy? I said, I got the perfect guy. Mark Green. Hey, what's up? Selicaga, Alabama. Hey, can you help this dude? He's a preacher. Oh, I'd love to talk to him. I said, here's his number. He's all right. Thank you. And they went on and they had great conversations. He helped this guy deal with this. And
What was
that feels good. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It just,
Yeah.
One of
Oh,
the cats are
definitely.
struggling.
Huh?
One of the cats are struggling.
Where are they at?
I don't know.
Was it Angus season again? Rub his belly. Rub, he's having an attack.
Anyways,
Here.
Roger, we'll let you go. I don't want you to get in
Here.
trouble with your wife.
all right.
Look,
Larry,
thanks again,
Bruce.
We'll definitely have you on again here. Definitely.
Urban, what's your
Sure.
first name again?
I'm Scott. I forgot to
Okay.
change it to Scott before I went backstage to join the show. But Urban
All right.
Bigfoot's my Facebook group where you can, come see my evidence and all that.
All right. I'll, after I go to the restroom, I might sign up.
Yes, sir. I got to go myself.
Okay.
So
I'm getting old. I take fluid pills. I might have peed 5 minutes ago. Don't know it.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Everybody's
Right.
bladder's ready.
Yeah.
oh yeah.
Exactly.
Bladder break. Bladder break.
Amen.
Hey,
Amen.
brother, nice meeting you.
Nice
Catch up
meeting you,
with me.
sir. Have a good one.
Thanks
Yeah.
again,
You too.
Roger. And yeah, we'll have you on
Yeah.
again here soon.
Thank
Have a
you,
great
Larry.
weekend,
Appreciate y'all.
Roger.
Thank you. Y'all
Yeah,
too.
we just got
Scott,
to have
Bruce.
time to do it.
All righty.
Cryptid
Same to
brothers,
you, Larry,
you have a
Daniel,
good weekend too.
Scott.
You too,
Yep.
sir.
Hey,
Daniel.
Bruce, I've got somebody dropped a question that would be good for you. It
Okay.
was where'd it go?
All right, guys. I'm going to hide out too.
You got it too. No problem, man.
All right. Have a good one,
Have a good
gentlemen.
weekend, Scott.
Looking
All right, we'll
forward to
see
the
you.
next one already.
You got it.
Yeah.
You got it, man.
Yep.
Yeah, where'd it go? No, I can't find it, of course. It was somebody that was saying, have you ever had Bigfoot or Dog Man come up and ask about religion and whatnot, and it was a tough question, but you've never had
Yeah.
They know
are interested.
who God is. They know who Jesus is. Yeah. But no, I've never had them to ask me that. But yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I truly believe they're intelligent enough. They know
Right.
who their creators were.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, I'll let you go. And
All righty. Well, I appreciate it.
Daniel,
Y'all have a
wrap
good
that
night.
back up, brother.
all of you guys, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Take
All
that
righty.
medicine, you'll get feeling better. Bruce,
There you
have a
go.
good weekend, brother.
All right. Y'all too.
All right.
Y'all need me, holler at me.
You got it. Thanks, brother.
All right.
Okay. So that was a great podcast. Thank you, Roger, for coming on. It's great to meet you, and we will definitely have you on again because we've got tons to talk about. So, and I'm losing my voice. So, anyways, thank you. Next week we have Scott Pace on telepathy. So I will drop the links and stuff earlier. I usually do it on a Wednesday, and then on a Friday we'll post the information. So we're Friday nights, 5 o'clock, 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So if you guys are thrown off by the time, it's because I live in California and all the other smart people live on the other side. So thank you guys, appreciate it. And we got your name, so you can check out and see what kind of cryptid gift we can get you from Rustic. So talk to you soon, and thanks, guys. Bye.